We're good? All right, we're going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. here at the Star City Council chambers. Can you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Nation under God, it's all.
That is a beautiful sound when everybody's here doing the pledge. Love it. All right, we're going to move on to our invocation tonight, and we have Pastor Tim Ney that's going to do our invocation with Life Spring Christian Church.
Would you pray with me? And dear God in heaven, Creator, Sustainer, Counselor, Prince of Peace, Almighty God, all honor goes to you. You give us breath of life and you give us purpose. You've given this group of leaders here today to carry out their duties with humility, integrity, and justice. We pray tonight you give wisdom and discernment in the decision-making process. Help us as citizens to respect those you have put in authority over us. May all of us honor you with our speech and actions, ready to show mercy and offer forgiveness and grace as we strive to make Star a better place. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call.
Hershey,
Here.
Wheelock,
Here.
Salmonson. Here. Nielsen.
Present.
Hey, Ryan, is there a way to turn up the microphones? It sounds like they're not going through very good. Okay. All right. How about now? That's actually better than it was. Yep. Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to item 4, the public hearings tonight. I'm going to read some rules because I know there's several folks I talked to that have never been to one before. You have to sign up if you want to speak at the public hearing on the sheets that are back on that table outside. And it looks like most everybody did that. I will open the public hearing. I'll ask of the council if there's any ex parte contact. Our staff, Sean Nichols, our planning and zoning administrator, will present the project. And then the applicant has up to 20 minutes after that to present the project themselves. The council can ask the applicant questions and staff questions. The public will then have 3 minutes per person to speak. Those that are for the project will speak first. Those against it will speak next. And then those that are neutral will speak thereafter, if they choose to speak. The council can ask the individual speaking follow-up questions, and that doesn't count towards your 3 minutes. So don't worry about that. If they ask you a question through it, we'll work our way through that. The applicant will then have a 10-minute rebuttal on that. The council can ask the applicant and staff additional questions. I will close the public hearing. The council will deliberate at that point. A motion will be either made to approve with conditions, deny, or table the application to a date certain in the future. This is all part of the process. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Only those that are at the podium have the floor and can speak. So there's no questions or anything from the audience at all at that time. It's only at the podium up here. And we'll have a good night, I think. And right up here, I think, we're going to put it back there. We'll put our timer back on that. This has got a gremlin in it because Ryan works on this during the day and it works. And then we come into these hearings and it never works. So, so I will, with that said, it is 7:03 and we're going to move on to 4A. It's Life Spring Church rezone. And we'll have Mr. Tim Ney come up here in just a minute. I'm going to ask the council, is there any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project?
None.
None.
Okay, hearing none. Sean, the floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. The first application you have before you is application by Life Spring Church for a rezone and development agreement. Applicant is requesting approval of a rezone and development agreement to Central Business District. Properties in question are located at 174 and 198 North Star Road. Properties include a total of 1.64 acres. Rezone is from residential R4 to Central Business District CBD. All application requirements, including submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal noticing, and site posting have been completed to meet the Unified Development Code requirements. The application was reviewed for compliance with the Unified Development Code and the City Comprehensive Plan. Comprehensive Plan designates this property as Central Business District. You do not have any late exhibits for this application. Items of special consideration would be the pre-approved uses that staff has included in the staff report. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. The specific within the development agreement, the council can approve certain uses. Staff is recommending that these 6 uses be considered approved or principally permitted within the development agreement. This is in order to help the church in future activities that they might want to have without coming back for another conditional use permit. Those include obviously the improvements or remodel of the church facility itself, child care, farmers or Saturday market, events or entertainment facilities that would be specifically church activities, any parking lot or parking garage, and then recycling center. Those are some of the uses that staff noticed in the code that might be applicable or appropriate for the church or their parking lot to have those type of activities. Oops. This is the site plan that was submitted with the application. And then this is the interior layout of the church and the proposed improvements. And that's the elevations of the modifications that the church would like to do on the property. That is all I have.
All right, very good. With that said, Mr. Tim,
Mayor Chadwick.
I'm sorry, Councilman Nielsen.
Sorry, Tim. Sean, you listed recycling center as one of the proposed uses. Could you go into just a little bit of detail and explain what a recycling center means and how that's applicable to a church?
Yeah, I'm looking at more like recycling bins, things like that.
Does the code agree with that interpretation, or?
The code is
Anything
unclear
specific?
with that interpretation, so I thought we can build it in and we can put some specifics to that they are for fundraising and things like that, rather than like a full-blown recycling center that you drop off like a commercial type of center. It's more an accessory to the church.
Got it. Sorry, did you say short term or was that somebody?
That
else?
was
Like short term?
would be more like fundraising
Yeah,
or
nothing
like
that's-
closed drop-offs or things like that. So more accessory to the church as opposed to a commercial use within the church.
And so along those same lines, childcare center, are you looking at that as kind of an accessory, like
Yes.
more of a, we're gonna like,
More of an accessory, like a lot of times churches will have in-house daycare or a child
is that during events
centers.
or is that like Hope? I'm thinking of Hope Lutheran down the road. They've got a preschool that they operate as a business every day. Is that what you're contemplating? Or are you contemplating more so like on a per event basis?
more so on a per event.
And we could have Tim clarify that up here too,
Sure.
when he comes up. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right. All right, Pastor Tim, you do get the floor now.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Oh, and I'm sorry, and I meant to tell everybody, please also, when you're up at the podium, state your name and address also for the record.
Okay.
Yep.
My name is Tim Nay, 12264 West Haven Crest Drive. That's in Star. Okay, can I go back over this a little bit just to clarify a few things? Yeah, this is the layout of our proposed addition. This is phase one. The only addition is let's see, I got pointers here too. Is this section right here in orange and this section right here. This is all being refurbished, not refurbished, but remodeled. This is all being remodeled. So the only addition in phase one is this, that, and then this patio area out front. On this next slide, this is actually not the phase we're doing right now. This is the proposed phase two. Oh, hey. All right, what happened here?
I'm telling you, we got gremlins in here.
You know, I am balding. I didn't know that. And in reference to recycle, we do, in a spiritual sense, we recycle people's souls. Everybody's redeemable. So anyway, I don't know if we can get that back up there, but we
Dana,
applying-
so hang on, Tim. Sorry. We're going to take a real quick recess. So Dana, I don't know. Beautiful.
we're back.
Are we good, Dana? Live? Okay, thank you. So go ahead, Tim.
Okay, so we're reapplying for a rezoning so that we can add on to our building, but also come in compliance with the overall downtown future plans for Star. And so if you noticed our exterior, hopefully that's matching what's happening in the future for downtown Star. So I don't know if there's anything else you'd like me to share. The addition is going to be more office space, more children's space, and a couple family bathrooms in our phase one that we're doing hopefully this year. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Any questions of Mr. Tim at this time?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
Tim, could you elaborate, kind of same questions I had for Tom on recycling and childcare and how you're looking at those?
yeah, right now it's just per event. We're not planning on having a daycare
Okay,
currently. So,
awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
other questions of
Mayor-
Pastor?
Mayor Chadwick.
Yes, ma'am.
So right now, like it states that it's limited, well, so must be more than 12. So if there's, like, should we include the other three that I think are like less than, I can't remember what the lowest level is, and then 7 to 12.
We just say childcare.
in
Those
general?
are already allowed, principally permitted. These
Oh,
are,
those
these
are-
are just conditional use permits. And again,
Other childcare uses are already allowed in the CBD. And this one just would be allowed.
yes, so if they, if,
Listed as
so
conditional.
in,
Got
yes, so in the future, if they wanted to have childcare, they wouldn't have to come back before you. We would build it into the development.
it. Got it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
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 Councilman Wheelock?
Yeah, Tim, I'm just curious about the condition for the events and entertainment. I get the indoor part of that, but what's the outdoor part of that look like for the neighbors?
we really don't have, currently, I can't think of anything we do outdoors except maybe until we get phase two accomplished, the grassy area outdoors. Like Sunday afternoons, we already have events on the grass there. And we've done trunk or treats in our parking lot before, but I mean, in recent years, we've joined the citywide one.
Yeah.
But those are, right now, I can only think of those types of things. It'd be very seldom that we'd have an event outdoors.
Thank you.
So,
All right, any further questions? All right, sir, thank you. Ryan, do we have
thank you.
the sign-up sheets?
There's no one that wants to
No
testify.
one wants to speak. Okay. Any further questions of Tim?
That was
Staff?
happened twice.
Are you sure no one in here was signing up to speak for the church? Not the other one? Kidding. Everybody for that one. All right,
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen
I do have a couple questions.
for Tim?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you talked about phase two. Currently, there's a kind of a relocatable building along the
Yeah.
side. Is that going to stay there as part of this until phase two is complete?
No, we have to move it because once we build on, let's see.
Phase one blocks phase two from.
Yeah,
leak.
once we add this section on right here, it'll block that modular.
Mm.
So the modular is going to have to move back over here during the construction phase. So that we know we have to go through the city. We actually talked to somebody at the office today and know that we've got to come back for that as far as where that's located. But yeah, that once we add that phase one, that will block us from getting that modular out there. Our whole purpose in adding phase one and phase two is to get rid of the modular. So it'll make the whole neighborhood look better
Yeah.
to not have that there.
I know this has been in the works for a while. Look, Plan looks good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Councilman Hershey?
No,
Okay. You were reaching for your button.
I am.
All right. All right. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor,
That's,
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, with the testimony presented, I think it'd be smart to add a condition or add the mobile classroom use as approved with this, if in the event, or if they're going to indeed move that to the north side of the building. Otherwise, they would have to come back in for another conditional use permit for modular.
so you can add in a condition that it can only be used until phase 2 is complete and then it can be removed. Then it must be removed.
It's up to you. Was it going
We
to
would, yeah.
be, was it going to be a permanent?
No, it'd be till
Obligation or-
phase 2.
Okay.
But, you know, phase 1, we want to get done and
It was
then,
a couple of years.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would like that. If we can do that.
If we could build,
we'd
if
like
we
to
could just
do
build that in.
That would help us
condition.
get started quickly. So,
Okay.
That's it.
thank
You
you.
got that? Hey, all right. With that said, it is 7:15 and I'm going to close the public hearing on this and move to council deliberations.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hershey.
I just want to say LifeSpring Church already does half the stuff they already said. I've seen them support the food bank there. I've seen them support Hand in Paw there. I've seen them support, I can't remember what it was called, but it was there. And even had a few pleasant meetings there that were public. So therefore, Mr. Mayor, I actually believe that this is not only good for them, but it's good for the whole community. And I am going to make a motion that we pass this as presented with the extra condition for the mobile building. Relocate the mobile building, yes.
Okay.
However Sean said it.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I'd be curious if Councilman Hershey, would you entertain in the motion to be specific as far as the childcare, that it's not an approval to operate a business? That would require a different hearing later if that was requested.
For the childcare and the recycling as it was stated by the pastor. Now, the slides did black out, so I don't know if that's like a higher power telling us not to do this, but I pretty much know where I'm going, so I mean.
Okay, all right.
And just to be clear, as stated by the pastor,
Per event.
per event, got it.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion second by Councilman Nielsen. Any further discussion?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So I believe we also need to add in the motion to make sure that like a condition for the fire district requirements for access. So can we just add that in as well?
Yeah, but if you wanted to make a condition that they have to meet all requirements of the Star Fire District.
Okay, you want to modify your motion to add that condition?
Yes.
Councilman Nielsen?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Hershey,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Yeah, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 4B. Mr. Nay, you can't leave yet, Pastor. You got to stay all of it now. It's just too quick. Okay, we're going to move on to the Terramore subdivision. Annexation zoning, DA, preliminary plat, PUD. I'm going to ask the city council, do they have any ex parte contact or, I'm sorry, it is, what time is it? You're messing me up with my phone up there. It's 7:18. We're going to open this public hearing and ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
No.
None.
Hearing none, we're going to turn this time over to Sean to present the project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have before you a public hearing for the Terramore subdivision. It includes an annexation and zoning, a development agreement, a planned unit development, and a preliminary plat. The applicant is requesting an annexation and zoning to residential R3, neighborhood commercial C1, and general commercial C2, along with a development agreement and a planned unit development and a preliminary plat. The development consists of the planned unit development on 296.42 acres with 821 attached, detached, and multifamily residential units, commercial units, an elementary school site, and a city park site. The PUD residential density is 3.06 dwelling units per acre. The overall density, if you include the entire property, is 2.77 dwelling units per acre. Preliminary plat on 114.45 acres includes 235 residential lots, 1 commercial lot, the school lot, and the city park lot. All application requirements, including submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal noticing, and site posting have all been completed to the UDC requirements. The application has been reviewed for compliance with the Unified Development Code and the City Comprehensive Plan. Comprehensive Plan future land use map designates this property as estate urban residential with 3 units per acre maximum, commercial, mixed use, and commercial/industrial core. Late exhibits include a updated letter from the Middleton School District and a additional neighbor letter that was received after your packets were completed. Items for special consideration include approved commercial uses, emergency service mitigation fees, and proportionate shares for ITD. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. Again, this property is located in Canyon County between Kingsbury Road and Blessinger Road, north of State Highway 44, State Street. This is the overall layout of the planned unit development, which includes the entire acreage and all the uses. This is a copy of the preliminary plat that they're proposing with the 114 acres with the residential units or residential lots. They're all single family in this phase, single family detached. And it also includes the city park and the future school lots. And one commercial office lot out on Kingsbury. That's all staff has.
Okay, any questions of staff at this time? Okay, hearing none, Ms. Becky? And then, hey, Ryan, are you going to control that? All right, there we go. All right, Ms. Becky, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, I'm Becky McKay with Engineering Solutions. Business address 1029 North Rosario and Meridian. I'm representing Challenger Development on the Terramore Development Project. We spent 3 years on this project. Obviously, 296 acres is a significant size. We were involved when the city was updating their comprehensive plan land use map. We waited till the West Star Transportation Plan was adopted by both the city and Highway District 4. We worked with Star Sewer and Water District on the West Canyon Regional Lift Station, which has been completed. And we did donate that site to Star Sewer and Water District. I've been worked closely with Middleton School District. They're in desperate need of an elementary site and an affordable site to develop. We worked with city staff on the park and the fact that this community needs more ball fields and more open space and amenities. And we worked closely with Highway District 4, ITD, Middleton Mill, and Drainage District 2. This is the property right now. It is not within the floodplain. It is not designated as foothill. It's agricultural property. You can see here with the vicinity map, as Sean indicated, Kingsbury is on our west boundary. Blessinger is on our east boundary. We are north of Highway 44. Our point of being contiguous to the city limits is at Highway 44 on the south side, the quarry development. This is the planned unit development. Let me switch to this. Here's the Star West Neighborhood Transportation Plan. So one of the driving forces in our design of this project was to comply with this plan, to incorporate mid-mile collectors, incorporate a backage collector north of Highway 44 to accommodate and provide access for commercial uses in the future. As Sean indicated, there's 296.42 acres. Your comprehensive plan designates this as commercial and industrial corridor, mixed use, and then that estate urban residential. What we decided to do was we would transition our project so we'd have some highway commercial. The only access I have to Highway 44 is that mid-mile collector that you see called Terramore Way. There's the button. I did use a talk. I don't know. Okay, I'll use this one. Technology. So here's State Highway 44. You can see the boundaries of our property that come up here and come around like this, and then like that. So this is the West Canyon Regional Lift Station right here. It's currently constructed. It's not operational. And then what we did is decided that we'd have highway commercial here. Access is taken on this backage road here. Then we would transition to neighborhood commercial as we got into here. Then we'd transition to a little pod of fourplexes here. And then we have some townhomes here and alley load townhomes here. And then we transition, you can see the different, these are detached single family dwellings in this kind of beige color. This is the school site. We work closely with Amber Van Auker, the architect for Middleton School District. And we had multiple meetings with Superintendent Gee on what their needs were. And this is kind of how this site plan developed. And that's why it took so long to get to this point. We have a 2021 job number is when we were given this project. Of course, that was before we had to get all the topos and everything. So there are multiple applications that we have before you. We have an annexation rezone, planned unit development, preliminary plat, and then development agreement. We're asking for about 256.26 acres of R3 DA. Then we have 12.65 acres of C1 DA, and then 28.26 acres of C2 DA. This layered effect is very typical in planning where we have our more intensive uses next to a state highway. And then as we go in to the project, the intensity and the densities decrease and the lot sizes get larger as we go northward. This is called like a land use transition. And it works very well. As Sean indicated, we have 821 dwelling units total. That's like 3.08 dwelling units, but it's less than 3 when you calculate the entire property. What you see before you is consistent with your STAR economic plan and your West Star transportation plan with the mid-mile collector here, the backage road over to Kingsbury, then the backage road here that goes over to Blessinger, and then this Terramore collector comes up to here. This is the future alignment with Floating Feather in Ada County. It'll be called, I think it's Cornell Street in Canyon County. So eventually, when this property develops, this will be that continuation. There will be a roundabout here and a roundabout here. ITD has determined that this intersection here will be a right in, right out, left in at this time. It does meet the warrant for a signal, but they want right in, right out, left in. In the future, it potentially could be signalized if the volumes reach that limit where all those warrants are met and satisfied by ITD. We have about 253 townhomes that are in here. Like I said, we have alley load, we have front load, and then we have 456 single-family dwellings, and then about 112 fourplexes right here in this pod. The variety of the residential, we have varying widths, depths to provide different options for growing families, older families with older children, empty nesters, and singles. And the identity of this community is going to be focused on this 10.5 acre city park and this 11.383 acre elementary school site. All of our collectors have significant landscaping that adjoins them. That landscaping ranges from 40 to 50 and even 80 feet in width. We tried to do a lot of linear open space in here to keep the community. So as you drive through, it looks open, it looks inviting. You have different pods, different neighborhoods within an overall community. Let's see. Now I got to switch over. So we have the 6 commercial and office mixed use lots. And we're thinking one of them might be like some type of RV mini storage. The others would be neighborhood commercial office, the 11.47 acres elementary school, and then the neighborhood park. Wait, there we go. This kind of gives you a breakdown of the acreages. So you can see what we've allocated here for open space. We have 64.65 acres of open space. In addition, the 10.33 acres of city park, and then the 11.47 acres of elementary school site. The PUD amenities are significant. We have 21.82% open space. That does not include the school site, the public park, nor does it include the 8-foot wide local street buffers. So that is like a net. We were going to have 2 swimming pool facilities with parking, and 3 bocce ball courts, 3 playground areas with covered seating, 6 pickleball courts. We have 12-foot wide multi-use pathways along the south side of the Lemp Canal, which is consistent with your pathway plan. We have 5-foot and 8-foot wide pathways throughout the development. So we have a total of 4 miles of pathways, and that does not include any of the sidewalks along the streets, collectors, or arterials. We have interconnecting pathways. We're going to put benches along those so people can sit and rest, walk their dog, take it easy, watch their dog play. We have linear parks with pathways, workout stations, and we also have a dog park. This is kind of the phasing plan. The preliminary plat is everything basically west of Terramore Way right here. So from this collector over is in the first preliminary plat. We plan for approximately 17 phases. So one thing to keep in mind, I've done a lot of large projects like Bridge Tower, Locksaw Falls, Heron River. These large projects take many years to build out. This is similar to like Bridge Tower with the commercial component, a school, a park, and that project took about 15 years to build out. The first phase would be this collector here at Highway 44 and over to Blessinger or Kingsbury, sorry, and then this pod of lots. Now, the mayor, when he looked at our phasing, he said, I think we should put the park in the first phase. And I had phase 2 here for the school, because phase 2 comes up and goes out to Kingsbury and builds this Cornell collector. So based on the school district's needs, that needs to be in the phase 1 also. We'll be donating that school site. We'll be constructing their roadway, installing their sewer, their water, whatever power needs, utility needs they have to have. And then the pressurized irrigation system will source off of this pond here, and we'll run pressure irrigation over to both the school and to the park site. We'll also build these collector roadways and donate the park site. One of the things that was recommended by the mayor, that since that would be a public park under Star Parks Department, that he would want the pressure irrigation pump station to be operated by the Parks Department. So you guys don't have to deal with an HOA, and we'd enter into an agreement. So with the school, obviously, to pay for operation of the pump station and sharing that cost. The surrounding neighborhoods out here, you've got urban development right here, kitty corner to us. These are urban sized lots. A lot of the development to the west is under Canyon County, so they were kind of more larger, kind of estate lots. And then we have county lots up in here, and then some agricultural that adjoins us. Oh, damn it. Sorry. Gadgets. Did it skip? Ah. I'm trying. So we will be dedicating right away for whatever ITD needs along our frontage. One of the conditions of Highway District 4 is with our first phase, prior to them signing our final plat, we will come in and we will widen Kingsbury and install a signal here before any home ever gets built. And that will be at our expense. I have met with Mr. Quinzer and Mrs. Quinzer about them dedicating the right-of-way that we need to widen out Kingsbury and to build out this intersection and build turn lanes, decel lanes, et cetera. So that will have to be done with first phase. We'll be required to enter into a development agreement with Highway District 4, which will stipulate that, and that is part of their conditions of approval. Okay. So in the preliminary plat, we have 278 total lots, 235 single-family lots, the school site, the park site, 1 commercial lot, and 40 common lots. Our qualified open space is 16.65%, and that density is 2.07. Our average lot size is 8648. That kind of gives you a breakdown of our acreages based on the open space, the park, and the school. In our preliminary plat, we have 35% of that area is taken up by school, park, and open space. Within the original preliminary plat, or the first preliminary plat, we'll have playground with covered seating, the pool facility and changing rooms with 17 parking spaces, 2 pickleball courts, bocce ball court, pathways, benches, workout stations will all be within that first preliminary plat. That is the amenities on our central amenity that will be built with the third phase. There you see the school, that site plan that is there was developed. That's their new school site plan. It's kind of a U shape. It's more cost effective to build. It is the desire of the district to notify Canyon County that they will be running a school bond for this school May of this year. They desperately need it. There's the northern portion. There's the park site. We did work with the city staff, and our landscape architect came up with kind of a conceptual plan. Obviously, this is subject to council approval in the future, but that's just a concept. Here's a street scene of what the homes look like. Those are the detached single-family dwellings that you see there. There'll be two-story, single-story, modern craftsman, farmhouse, a different variety of styles. These are all part of their new line. The alley load townhomes, those are what they call a farm bungalow. So those are loading in the alley. The alley would be a private. They won't allow us to have a public alley. We will have a 20 by 20 pad and a 2-car garage for each townhome. I also have intermittent parking areas through the townhome area for for guests. And then this is some more of the alley load. This is what the front load townhomes look like. And those are what the 4-plex units would look like. We have approximately 112 of those. So we do have a rental component within this neighborhood, which is important so that we can have a diversified community, a sustainable community that's balanced and providing housing for all types of residents of the city of Star. There's the overall there. We are not asking for any deviations from your side setbacks. We have 7.5-foot side setbacks, 20 feet between the 4-plexes. And the only thing, we would have 0 lot lines for the townhomes. And then of course we would have a 10-foot front setback on the alley loads. If you notice all of the townhomes here, they're all on green space. So this is drain 10C. DD2's board has asked us to pipe that because it's what they call a low flow drain. And they said it's a real booger to keep clean. And this is going to be, we're going to put a 12-foot paved pathway along it and manicure it. And so that will be a multi-use pathway that'll go clear up into here. This is the Lemp Canal, comes through our project, runs down our north boundary here. We have a little bit of piping here that they requested so that we could build a pond. We have 296 shares in the Middleton Mill irrigation district. So we have ample water rights for this entire property. Up here, we do have an emergency vehicle access that would go out.
So real quick, but we're going to give you 3 more minutes because I know we had some issues there with the system. So, okay.
As far as sidewalks are concerned, we will be building 10-foot walks along Kingsbury, 10-foot walks along Blessinger, and then I have 10-foot sidewalks along Carrera, Terramore, and Piedmont. And then any pathway that leads to the school or leads to the park, we have all these corridors here. Those are 8-foot paths. So that will accommodate different modes of transportation. We will be doing a public access easement on this common lot here, which is 50 feet wide. And that is intended so all of these properties in the future can take access off of this backage road and eliminate access on State Street over time. We've also provided cross-access easements for these out parcels on Kingsbury and the same for this parcel. We have stub streets and cross-access where we have common lots for any parcel that adjoins us so that we can get interconnectivity and obviously feed that traffic into the development and down into this mid-mile collector. One of the things I'd like to talk to you about is the storm drainage. Highway District 4 does not allow us to do subsurface seepage beds. under any circumstances. So they've adopted Ada County Highway District's policy manual, except for their storm drainage section. So one of the things, I know the council, I know the mayor, I know the staff has been very concerned about some of the swales along collectors and arterials. But the way Highway District 4 is implementing their own standards and not allowing any subsurface seepage beds, I have to have storm drainage above ground. So I brought this as an example. This is along Eagle Road. This is the Fast Eddies. And so storm drainage off of Eagle Road goes into this. And this it has basically a sand window, and then it has like a dry creek bed. It's landscaped. They have rocks. It looks really nice and functions really well. There's never any standing water there. And I guess I would ask the council to keep an open mind, to allow us to work with staff, work with your city engineer to come up with some designs like this that are aesthetically pleasing, but still meet the requirements of Highway District 4. Let's see. There's your lift station that's online. They're going to be building that pressure sewer this summer. We are granting the easement for them to take that sewer clear over to Kingsbury. The well is under construction, will be completed in May. So all the utilities are here and everything's kind of coming together at the right time. I asked the council to reflect the work or recognize the work that we've done to get to this point and approve the project, and I'll open it up for questions.
All right, I'm sure we got lots of questions. We want to start. Talk in your microphone too, though.
Clarify which roadways you're proposing those swales.
So on Blessinger, there would be no curb or gutter. And so we would use that type of system here, the same for Kingsbury. And then that is why we have like 50 and 40-foot wide buffers. So our swale is basically 16 feet wide, but only a foot deep. So it can be landscaped with turf, rocks, shrubbery. I just can't put trees, and it has to be outside the right of way. That's the other thing Highway District 4 does not allow. They do not allow us to put our sidewalk, our pathways, or storm drainage within their right of way. So I had to change all my right of ways and reduce them so that the detached walks were not in their right of way. So I'm kind of like juggling the requirements. One other thing that I want to mention to the council is this Terramore Way is a collector. And Highway District 4 board in December adopted a keynote that they put on your West Star transportation plan. And they have this at 35 miles per hour, which is way too fast. This is only 30. If you read Ada County Highway District standards, it says no collector shall be over 25 miles per hour within a residential development, and that you may consider 30 in a unique situation. And I would ask the council to, I guess, make a finding that they would like the lower speed on this. I don't think 35 miles an hour is safe where we have the park.
All right. Yeah. John?
And then Becky, one last clarification. Will you clarify how many fourplex buildings versus units you have? You said 112 you have
112,
112 units and you have 28 buildings.
correct.
Okay, just want to clarify that.
Correct.
Okay.
28 buildings.
Yeah, okay, got it. All right. Staff, council have questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Wheelock.
Can you talk about this? Let's see, it's a southern boundary here where you talked about having all those residents have access to that road.
Yes, sir.
What's that mean for them?
So your well is located here. Your lift station is here. Star Sewer and Water District has taken a 16-inch water line up to here, and then they've taken a sewer line that will provide sewer to the fire station. We will then build those utilities, and as we take those utilities, we will be required to stub to these properties as we go down. Then this common lot, which is 50 feet wide, right through here, this is a little office building with a little parking lot. We will, according to Highway District 4's requirements, and we added that as a note on the preliminary plat that Sean has in his file, that is a public access easement. So they may take access to this. They would have to obviously get a permit from Highway District 4 for that access, because we were required to offset our intersections 330 feet. So say this parcel here will probably have to align with this road. This parcel would probably align with this road. And then we have a lot, a little kind of a 50-foot wide lot that comes out to Highway 44. The parcels that are on either side of that, Highway 44 or Highway District 4 has required that we make that a public access lot. And that's what it was intended for. So there is no access here to Highway 44, but these parcels can get access and come up to this collector or this backage road. The same holds true for these parcels here. We'll be stubbing the utilities and they will have access.
That eliminates the worry about a spite strip.
Yes, yes.
Right.
And that is a condition of Highway District 4, and obviously it can be a condition of the city too. And we have another public access easement here where we have landscaping along this parcel. And we did the same thing where we're giving access out of this cul-de-sac into these two parcels here. This parcel will take cross access through this lot here. This lot is too close to this intersection, so it takes access through the school. The school district told me that they would like to build a new administration building. So they're working on Mr. Barton, because that's where they would like to build their administration building.
If we could go back to the park lot.
Keep going. There.
Hey, there goes. Right there. So I'm assuming that we're going to build out all of this as a city, all the amenities that we're looking for in a park, or we would be responsible for funding that. This pathway that goes around the edge, the connectivity of that, would you be interested or willing to make that part of your scope of work to increase that connectivity?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Wheelock, Sean did bring that to my attention and stated that he wanted to add that as a condition of approval, that we would construct that perimeter pathway because that interconnects over to the school.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions of Ms. Becky at this time? Councilwoman?
Sure. Thank you. So regarding the city park and who owns that property, are you planning to like deed that acreage over to the city at some point? Or are you going to continue to, like, you own it and we use it and build it?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Salmison, no, we would deed that to the city.
Okay. And
So,
do
so
you have
that, that 10 and a half acres would be deeded to the city. And if we include it in phase one, as the mayor had preferred, then we would designate it as City of Star. When I record the plat, then it's automatically deeded, or we can do a deed dedication. I mean,
Okay.
either way, it gets deeded when the plat's recorded.
Okay, okay, great, thank you. So back to the stormwater drainage along the roadways. I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So you're saying that you would like to see them more finished, like your example that you had, and I totally agree with that. I would love that as well. But I did see, like, your cross section, there was a borrow ditch and a gravel shoulder. And so is that area in Highway District 4's right away? And so, or is that something that we can do to help, like, say that that's what we would like to see that as well? And have you, like, work with staff in Highway District 4 so that it's more finished, cleaner, and yeah, it's
Mayor
great.
Chadwick, Councilman Salmison, it is outside their right of way,
Okay.
but, and it has to be maintained by the HOA. So we do have the ability to create something that is aesthetically pleasing and not something that just takes care of storm drainage.
Yeah. Okay.
And I agree with you. I do like the more on the arterials. I do like the more finished look. But like I said, we're limited to what HD4 would allow.
Yeah.
And it may require a meeting with Sean and Ryan Morgan, myself, one of my civil engineers to meet with them and kind of, bounce ideas off of them, find out what they're going to allow us to do. My biggest concern is if I am so restricted that I can't meet their standards, then I'm in big trouble. And I prefer subsurface, we call them a sideways bed. And we use those in areas even where we have high groundwater. And one of my engineers developed the design, and ACHD loved it, and they put it in their policy manual. And I talked to Highway District 4 about that, and they said, absolutely not. We don't allow any storm drainage to be handled subsurface. No subsurface. So, I mean,
I think that's a discussion that we need to have, Sean, with Highway District 4 too, and trying to understand why.
so,
As aesthetics wise, it's a lot better that way.
from a maintenance perspective and an aesthetic perspective, it is superior because then you don't have nuisance water. You
We-
don't have issues with mosquitoes. You don't, there's a lot of problems that come when you try to keep that storm drainage in a pond or a borrow ditch, out of sight, out of mind. From their perspective, they don't want to have to maintain them in perpetuity. That is their argument. And they have a rural highway district perspective and not an urban. Because, I mean, forever they've been a rural district. So maybe educating them. I'm not saying that, maybe their board would consider options now that they're becoming a more urban highway district.
Mhm. And so along the same lines, like with ITD and that frontage on Highway 44, so in the commercial, I know that that's a smaller area, but is there like something similar that we can do along that frontage too?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Salmison, ITD, they allowed that example that I showed you on Eagle Road, which is under their jurisdiction.
Yep.
And they've allowed some, there's a variety of different types of storm drainage retention along there. Some have like a little concrete apron and then it goes down into an area so the grass doesn't block that drainage. I think they're a little easier to work with, but I don't believe I don't know if they accept the seepage beds either. But they did do a seepage bed in front of Blue Cross on Eagle Road. When they did the widening, they did do one there.
Mhm. So
So-
maybe an option.
So it
It might
may
be
be an
something,
option.
yep.
Subsurface may be an option with
okay.
ITD.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay, Council Nielsen?
Thank you. But we're going to continue talking about this topic. You mentioned that these swales, they're 16 feet wide, 1 foot deep, no trees.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Nielsen, we can put trees on the edge of them, but I can't put trees down in that sand window.
Got it.
But the landscape architects can do it so that, that with rocks and shrubs are fine. And like that dry creek bed, I like that look.
Yeah.
And I've seen some that are done very well, and I've seen some that are done poorly. Now, Ada County Highway District won't let us use the cobble or the rock. They require that we just leave it sand, which, I mean, you can landscape
eventually
around
becomes
it, but you end up with a little sand window, they call it. I like putting a cap on it with like some rock. It just gives it a finished look.
So I agree with that. I want you to imagine driving down Floating Feather in Eagle and then take that picture and figure out how to, as best as you can, make that work in this area.
Understood.
Not Floating Feather and Star. It's been completely demolished along the sides of our roads there in Star. It's an absolute tragedy. But we have an opportunity here to make our arterials and collectors really beautiful. And I think with what you've described and what you showed there, I think that is a good look. I'd like to see maybe a little more tree density.
Okay.
Um,
And we can put the trees on that,
yeah,
Edge.
put them on the edge.
put them on the edge.
Put
and
this,
it
put the
doesn't
sidewalk back
hamper.
there next
Yep.
to the trees, so it just looks like a beautiful pathway, and
Yep.
that would be awesome. And I like that no more than 1 foot deep. That's great too. So, continuing with trees, I'm looking at the map here, and it appears that the trees are along the sides of the streets and not in the front yards, at least on the collectors and arterials. Can you confirm that?
Yes, we're required to install trees, I think every 35 feet, Sean, along the collectors. And then I think along the arterials. And like I said, our buffers are 40, 45, 50, and even 80 feet wide. So we have ample room for trees
Got
and
it.
landscaping.
Okay. And are those detached sidewalks that are going along there, or?
Yes, they'd all be detached.
Last question, for your commercial sites that are along the highway, do you anticipate that those buildings would be built out close to the highway, parking lots more along the back edge road, or opposite? What?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Nielsen, I would anticipate that you would push the buildings more towards Highway 44 with the parking in the interior, because that's where your access is going to be.
Right.
So we obviously want to create a nice corridor look. And I think that's why Sean had a lot of the uses as a conditional use. And he and I discussed that Whatever goes in there needs to be, one, neighborhood compatible. Two, it'd be across from your park. It'd be across from the school. So I think additional oversight with a conditional use would be recommended.
Yeah.
Then you could obviously look at, what does the building look like? What's that elevation going to be along Highway 44? What, where's the access is going to be, parking, and make sure that it doesn't detract from the park, the school, or the neighborhood.
Right. Well, and I, kind of the nature of my question is even detract along Highway 44, that, what tends to be the neglected side of the building,
Right.
then becomes what everybody gets to see as they drive through town. So appreciate the nod to the CUP so we can address that.
Yeah, I believe we have, I think that's a 50-foot buffer we have there, the
Yep.
landscaping. So we'd dedicate additional right of way for widening, and then we'd have landscaping beyond that, and then a lot.
So we could put trees that grow 40, 50, 60 feet tall.
Yes.
Somewhere, something like that out
Yeah,
there to
and-
really,
As if it comes in as a conditional use, you could require additional trees.
Yep.
And, maybe clustering of trees and stuff to break up a facade or require, I know Eagle's doing a lot along Highway 55 in their requirements where they want it to build their storage units, but they look good from Highway 55. Unlike the first one that was built looks really bad years ago. From then on, they've made them do, modulation, different materials, different colors, landscaping.
right. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any further questions here, Councilman Hershey?
Oh, not really any. Very well presented, by the way. You do a good job in that.
Thank you, sir.
I was thinking of the drainage, and I like that. And yes, I'd like you could put the rocks on top of it, or, I mean, it will become a cat box.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Right.
I remember when I was reading, and you did say that Kingsbury would have to be signalized before a single house. But also I read in there is 2030, 2035, and 2045 plans also out. Do you think this is a 20-year project or even longer? It does go out to 2045. I read
Right.
that.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Hershey, I think based on the requirements for the TIS, they make them go out to 2045. So they're looking at what's the background traffic now. And based on the growth patterns, even without my project, Kingsbury and 44 needs upgraded and signalized. And that's why it was a condition of final plat signature that we install that.
It seems like a lot of road improvements going to be happening, and you still understand that the proportion shares in there. I mean, it's like the number one condition or number two. So,
Right.
all right, just
And I think, they're planning, to have a signal. They're doing that 44 corridor study. ITD is a signal at Kingsbury, a signal at Blessinger, and then a signal at Canada. And then the mid-mile collectors, I think they're going to do like the right in, right out, left ins for now. But obviously we want to keep them in alignment with what we have to the south so that in the future, if they meet the warrant, they could be signalized. I mean, look at Chinden Boulevard. If I hadn't have done mid-mile collectors up there that we could signalize in the future, it'd be a mess. And like at Locksaw Falls, we had a commercial corridor with a backage road, just similar to what we're doing here, except it's not a collector. So, I mean, it's been done successfully in other projects over time, and this method works.
oh, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Nothing else.
Okay, any further questions?
Mayor Chadwick?
Councilwoman?
So let's see, regarding the pathways,
Yes.
so do you have any plan, like, are any of them going to be limited towards like just that development only? Or can we add something that's like all the pathways, the entire development are public easement?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Samuelson, all of the pathways in this development would be open to the public because they're designed to create access shortcuts to the park and to the school. And so none of them would be signed private.
And so, we have a couple subdivisions where they put up their own signs, maybe through the HOA, and they say, residents only.
Yep.
So is there would you put something in the HOA, the covenant that states that these are public pathways or to remain public pathways, or how, or does that go, where is that information saved and shared?
Development agreement.
Right, in the
Yep.
development agreement? Okay.
Mayor Chadwick, Councilman Samuelson, Eagle had the same problem. Some of their neighborhoods where they had agreed when
Yeah.
the projects were approved that they would have public paths, then started signing them private pathways, residents only.
Yep.
So what the city of Eagle has done is they are now adding conditions of approval where we have significant pathways that lead to schools, parks, and even projects where it's just a lot of interior pathways. We have to grant an easement, public easement for any of those pathways. So as I do a preliminary plat, then we would prepare an exhibit, a description of that pathway, and then grant the public easement, send it over to your staff, and then it's recorded, and then that instrument number is on the plat.
Got it.
That's how Eagle is doing it now, and Boise, I believe, has started doing the same thing.
Okay.
Because you're
Yeah.
getting, residents and HOAs saying, you can't be here.
Right.
Right.
All right. And then another question, you brought up the uses, or someone did. And so staff made a number of recommendations for the uses for commercial in the C1 and C2. And so I just like your input, because I would like to see, it was kind of limited on both, on what uses are just allowed, permitted. And then, there's a lot that's conditional, which, I think is good that a lot of them do come in front of us so we can make sure there's compatible use and everything. But, I would like to see if there's something that we can do to encourage, the small business owner. So I was thinking of changing, there's a bakery and childcare and educational institution, retail store and services, vet office. If you'd have any, opposition, I guess, just to making those permitted rather than conditional, because I think that might help out some smaller businesses.
I'm not opposed to making them principal permitted uses. Typically, a daycare is a conditional use.
Depending on what is next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a retail, like I told Sean, we have those as kind of bigger lots. And what I kind of anticipate when we start getting the rooftops in there, and usually the commercial is the last to develop. And that's the way it was at Luxaw Falls and Bridge Tower. Heron River is the same way, until the Ridleys went in. We only had the tire store, or the dentist. Is it the dentist?
The
Eye doctor. The eye
optometrist.
doctor was the
Yeah.
only one there forever. And then Ridley's came in, and then now it's exploded. So, they'll probably end up, doing some type of a little master plan for each one of those lots,
Mhm.
showing small businesses and parking lots, and it would probably come through as a plat, and then, some type of small shop type
Okay,
development.
And so maybe at that time, if there's yeah, maybe that would be a better time to think about the uses.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Then the council would, like I said, have oversight.
Right.
And the ability to say that, we don't think that's a good use across from our park.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we don't want a tire store across
Yeah.
from the park.
Yep.
We won't, maybe a restaurant or,
Yep. Okay, thank you very much.
Ice cream
I
shop.
Appreciate that input. Thank you. Yeah,
So-
we want an ice cream
cream shop.
shop. Yeah.
So just to be clear, then you're okay with how it's presented by
How it's
council? Okay.
presented, yeah.
All right.
Yep,
Or not by staff, I mean.
yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. Any further questions of Ms. Becky at this time?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
just real quick, back on the pathway thing. Just for us to consider, the whole council, you, Becky, some of these pathways go right behind people's homes. And they don't really provide any sort of public necessity for traversing through these lots. There's a lot of arterials, collectors, lots of ways that people can walk and ride bikes and things like that. So I'd like us to think about how we can preserve privacy and preserve the right of the HOA to enforce trespassing. Whereas if everything was just blanket public, they've lost all their rights to that property that they own and maintain. But they have to allow people to do whatever people want to do on that property. And so I'd like to see that private property right, at least for us to consider how we allow the public to traverse through this neighborhood and really make it usable for those public uses, but also maintain the private property right.
We could build it into the DA that it's just a pathway only,
Yeah.
right?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Nielsen, it would just be the pathway only. And just, so people couldn't loiter back there or, have a party or whatever. We would be required to have non-site obscuring fencing backing up to any of those for safety purposes. Because we obviously want eyes on the open space, eyes on the park. Now,
So-
the school, they want chain link.
And
We'll have that
I
discussion.
You'll
understand
have to talk to them about that.
understand where you're going with that, but also keep in mind when you then open up the fence and, the front of people's houses are generally pretty well obfuscated from people out in the road. There's landscaping, there's, limited windows, things like that. The backs of people's houses and where they live and recreate and stuff like that is not. And again, it's a private property right and privacy. And let's say you get somebody that happens to be in the news for some reason. Now you got the ability for cameras to camp out and surround that property and really just, open that up to people not having any sort of privacy. So I think there's an element of protection for people who will live there that we need to contemplate and take into consideration.
Okay, I
So.
agree with you. And I think Sean might be able to come up with something in the DA. We can do, I think, 4-foot high site obscuring fencing or like wrought iron. But
I
you
think our
can't-
code requires that
Yes,
on the open side.
yeah,
So,
adjoining any open space. So, and if people are really concerned about privacy, they typically don't buy on the linear open space.
Hey.
They usually will buy.
A lot of times people aren't concerned about it until they
Till-
have a
yeah,
reason to be.
After they get in.
And I'm going to pick on our police chief because he's here and he's big enough. But let's say our police chief or somebody in the future decides to move in there, happens to live on that, and there's something unpopular, that
Oh, I see what you're saying. Protesters or whatever buying
Right.
your house.
Doesn't that fall into loitering real fast?
well, it
It's a
could.
pathway. Move on
because it's not,
or don't.
it's a
do the
public
things that-
easement, not a public property that allows that right to
Yeah.
loiter and stuff on
You
it.
only have the right to traverse,
Yep.
not to camp out.
Right.
Yep.
So it sounds like maybe that we figured it out. I don't know, but I'd like us to think through those things and make sure that what we do really protects the people that are there and
I agree.
Because first and foremost, they're buying a home in an HOA on private property.
That is correct.
I want the public to be able to traverse and have connectivity and things like that. It's really important. I don't see that we have to make the whole thing public in order to allow that.
Okay.
But if we do, you know, if there's ways that we can handle all those other concerns, I'm good with that too.
Okay. We could strategically identify public pathways because we do have mixed use pathways in the project that are intended to serve the public and then others that could be considered private.
If I'm going to jump in here if that's all right. If you're that worried about the privacy, you can plant your own privacy fence inside that fence and make that predetermined privacy that you're looking for. Especially with some of the depths of these lots being 100 feet, 125 feet deep. They're pretty deep lots for the privacy that you're looking for. And that's my opinion.
Okay. Any further questions for Miss Becky before we move on? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Miss Becky. We're going to move on to the public testimony part. Just a reminder, everybody's got 3 minutes to speak. You'll hear that little beeper up there. That actually works. That's a good thing. When you come up to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. And then Ms. Becky will answer. If you have questions on there, she can answer the questions when she comes back up for the rebuttal. She's not going to answer at the time you're up at the podium. Okay? So we're going to start out with Miss Jody Lester.
Mayor Chadwick, council members, my name is Jody Lester. My address is 7170 Highway 44. I stand before you tonight as a homeowner. Like many of my neighbors, we made a decision to invest in this community based on a reasonable assumption that the property around us was zoned agriculture and would remain that way. That assumption shaped the way that we live our lives, the way we built our homes. I'd like you to consider that this development is literally in my backyard as it is many of the residents probably here tonight. Also consider that most of us live outside of city limits. Therefore, we have no say in electing a council. And so you are making decisions for us, and we appreciate that. I appreciate your diligence. I've reviewed the documents that were submitted that have been available in the city council office. I attended the neighborhood meeting. I feel I've done my due diligence to look at many documents that are associated with developing and planning. There are others who assume this decision is already made, that community voices don't matter, but I refuse to accept that. Many homeowners attended the neighborhood meeting for this proposal, believing and speculating that our voices would be heard. We spoke up about traffic, infrastructure, and the character of the community. We participated in good faith and trusted that input of the residents would carry weight into this process, but no changes were made based on that meeting. Zoning shouldn't be a bureaucratic process. It's a commitment to a vision for our city, and I understand your role in that vision. So I would like you to consider this. This is a huge ask. They're not only asking for zoning to R3 from agricultural in the addition of commercial 1 and commercial 2, but they're also asking for annexation into the city. The STAR comprehensive plan and zoning regulations talk about density and commercial use. And we've identified one issue on identifying specific commercial use for those properties. I would like that done. The next thing we consider, and it's interesting that we use the term open space, right? Right now, all that's there is open space. So what I'd like you to consider, I know how residents per acre is calculated. I understand that a PUD allows flexibility in those calculations. But if you calculate based on single family residents being an average lot size of 0.2 acres, if I do the actual density calculation for those areas, we're looking at 4.89 residents per acre. If we do the townhomes, we're looking at 11.99 residents per acre. If we use a calculation that truly looks at density in a specific place, I'm unable to calculate the density for the fourplexes because there's no average lot size that's listed in the plan. There's a significant infrastructure and traffic impacts. And we already know that some infrastructure changes will be made.
So I'm going to ask you a question though.
Yes.
Real quick. You said something about specific commercial uses.
Yes.
So what are those that you are looking at for
The area
specific?
directly behind my home, but don't worry, I get a 15-foot cushion guaranteed.
So which one?
My residence boundary,
What happened to the system?
the business.
Hang on a sec.
I can see if I'm going bald in the back.
That's the camera behind your house.
Pardon?
That's what Councilman Nielsen's talking about.
Okay,
The cameras. Did we lose it again or? Okay.
so the
'Cause I want to
area-
ask you which one's yours. So when you're talking specific commercial uses, what does that mean to you? What kind of uses would you accept for commercial, right? When you're talking about that? Oh, here we
at-
go.
at-
So which one's your, so this is, so
Highway
you're
44, keep coming over right there. Yep,
right here?
where they have the yellow behind me.
Okay,
I'm that lot.
right there. Okay.
Yep, and then
All
I
right.
also get a look out at 2-story townhomes or fourplexes. I'm further to the east.
Right here?
Well, maybe things have changed because on my map and on this map, it shows it's right in my back.
Are you closer to Blessinger?
No, I'm closer, I'm a little far down.
Okay.
I can show you on my map.
So on the commercial side of that, what, when you're talking about specific uses,
I was told at the residence or at the neighborhood meeting, it could be a dental office.
a what? I'm
A
sorry?
Dental office, so maybe a dentist office.
So like a low impact
I
commercial
hope.
use, right? That's what you're,
Yeah.
when you're saying you want a specific stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're here to
Something
try
that
and help
doesn't
you.
have traffic there 24 hours a day.
Right.
And I'm concerned about the lighting that will be there, the fencing that will be there. You talked about buffers to the people who will be building in the subdivision. What about the buffers for people who already have existing homes within that development area?
Okay.
Okay, thank
All
you
right,
very
thank you.
much.
All right, Ms. Denise, Janusik, no, hey, guys, we're not doing any of that. we're gonna go through this process. It's not clapping and doing all that kind of stuff, please. So, Ms. Denise,
Yes,
that's you?
Denise
Please state your name and
Janisak. My
address.
address is 7160 Highway 44. I live right here. I own this pasture in the front. Apparently, this pasture beside me is commercial. I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about, I already have a problem with traffic, and so you're going to put a traffic light down here, and I can hardly now pull out of my driveway and onto Highway 44. Anyway, I just want to agree with everything that Jody said. I feel like the first meeting, there were nice maps that we could look at, and I did not do my due diligence. I don't understand some of the abbreviations and lingo and on the map, so I was hoping that there were things on the wall that I could look at and understand better. But it's not here. Anyway, that's all I have.
Okay, good. Councilman?
I just wanted to talk about where you live is by the red dot, I'm assuming?
It's to the right. It's right here.
Yeah. So that you're aware, all the way down there, it's a long ways to the first commercial lot that's even being talked about.
So this lot right here is a commercial lot.
It's not.
Not as part of this project.
No, it's got nothing to do with
Correct,
anything here.
correct. It's zoned, yes, it's investment property for somebody in California. So
Right,
I'm
but
sure
that
that
doesn't-
when other stuff goes, really not much space here.
Well,
Anyway.
but I just so it has that first part, that actual lot is not part of this project.
Correct.
So we can't even
Can't
discuss
talk
that
about
lot.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Sorry, I just wanted to
Thank you. for
clarify, we're here to try to help answer
Understand.
questions and
It-
share information. Because it is confusing as a monster.
Mr. Steve Coyle?
That's my wife, so I live in the same house with her that she was pointing at.
By the red dot.
By the red dot, yeah.
I would like to suggest also that, Jody did a great job. But it seems like.
Oh, Steve,
for us to
I'm
get-
sorry. You gotta state your address too,
Oh.
please. Yeah.
I'm Stephen Foyle. I live in Canyon County. We're always talking about Ada County tonight. I'm an Idahoan.
Address?
Address is 7160 Highway 44. My biggest concern is I can look out my office window and I can see the hills and I can see the pastures. Now, I understand people are going to move in there, but all of a sudden we're going to build, I don't know, pretty good sized townhouses there. We talk about running a road through here, which I guess I can draw my blinds and I don't have to ever see anybody, which that's not me. I'm concerned that I have a septic there and it's a pretty new septic. And now people are saying, well, we're just going to run sewer lines in, and gee whiz, I can pay the city for my sewer or my, and water and everything else. I kind of like living outside the city because I like less rules and requirements. Nothing against you guys. You're doing a fine job in Star. But it's just like we picked out it. We lived here. We don't mind things progressing a little bit. But it's like nobody's came to my door and say, hey, we're going to put a townhouse here. How come we don't put a nice house there on an acre, even a half acre? Why are we crowding everybody in so much? This would be my thing. Also, you talked about doing trees on the side of the north side of 44. Well, there's big power lines there and the power company's not going to let you do those 50-foot trees. So I don't know if, that'd be it. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Mr. Walter Lester.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman,
Sorry,
sorry.
kind of, I guess it's not a question, but more information. If they're on a septic, are they required to hook up to
No.
city? Okay, so he can continue to use a septic.
Right, there is no requirement to hook up to the Star Sewer and Water. It's not part of their project unless the DEQ requires you to do so. That's something completely different from the city.
So
Yeah.
having acreage and having had a septic system and having the sewer go by, I'm in your situation. The city came around me. And for my situation, when my septic failed, I could hook onto the city sewer and let my sewer go and continue to use my well water. And to me, it's a huge benefit, but each person has to make that decision by themselves.
Okay? Thank you. All right, Mr. Walter, sorry about that.
Mr. Mayor, real quick, will you just make a clarification about Star Sewer Water District and the city of Star? We are not the same thing.
Yeah, Star Sewer and Water District is a separate tax identity altogether. It's not part of the city, so. Yes, sir. Yep. State your name and
My
address,
name is
sir.
Walter Lester, and I live at 7170 Highway 44. And I'm not quite as articulated as my wife Jody. I'm a retired wrestling coach and farmer. And so I kind of talk a little bit off. So hopefully I won't. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Appreciate giving us the opportunity to do this. I guess maybe I'm going to piggyback off my wife because there was one thing that I felt she needed to say that time obviously didn't allow her to say. Just rules, so what it is. The current agricultural use of this land is in line with the comprehensive plan objectives to preserve rural landscapes. The Terramore proposal would convert nearly 300 acres of open agricultural land into urbanized space, contradicting the plan's emphasis on maintaining an agricultural heritage and controlling rapid urban expansion, something to think about. I was in this situation 4 years ago when we moved to Star. Our farm on Robinson Road and Airport was basically annexed. They came in and eminent domained our place, put a roundabout right where we lived. And after 40 years in that place, we had never planned on leaving. But progress is progress. I understand that. So we searched and searched and searched for 5 months to find something that we felt could take the place of our home. And we settled in Star off Highway 44, a wonderful place. We felt this was a community that would be good for us, even though it's 10 miles away from where we used to live. Never in my mind would I imagine that my beautiful black backyard, my beautiful deck, everything we have back there is going to be 2-story, 4-unit places. No offense, or excuse me, no fence, no trees, nothing's going to replace what we're losing back there. And in terms of privacy, I get it. But at the same time, why should I have to build a fence? Why should I have to do all these things? I go out in the morning and I look, and all I'm going to see is these big buildings that block the foothills and block the mountains. All the reason I moved here. I understand growth. I'm not opposed to it. I think those of us that are here tonight are concerned about our place, our private property. Great development. But what about us that live along that area right there? I can't tell you, but really our place is kind of hid by the white standards through there. All those things that were mentioned will affect us. And I don't know, somebody said something that really kind of, why is it my responsibility to build a fence? I was there first. I paid $1 million for a beautiful home. Every morning, every night, I can look out my back door, see deer, turkeys, wild birds, all these kinds of things. They're not going to be there anymore, which I understand is growth. Please consider taking care of the people that already live there. I think that's important. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, I got, I think it says R. Williams. Okay, sir.
Richard Williams. I live in 22698 Kingsbury Road. My wife and my son have lived there for 14 years. On it, my question one is, how much water are they going to pump for irrigation on the water rights that they got there? Can it be answered?
And she'll answer when she comes back up. That's what I was saying. You can ask her questions.
Next question is, what was the process? I live in Canyon County. So this is Star City now?
If it gets annexed, yes, it'll be City of Star.
Okay, my property's not included in this. Okay, so I'm not going to become Ada County?
No. City of Star is in 2 counties, just like the City of Eagles in 3 counties. The counties stay the same. Those boundaries never change.
Okay.
Yep.
My next question is why is the easement in Kingsbury going to come up? My property goes up to the road. My house was built in 1901 by the Kingsbury family on it. How much property am I going to lose because the road's going to be widened? For what purpose?
I can't answer that. That's Highway District 4 maintains all the roads in Canyon County, or on that side of.
Do I have to contact them for that?
Yeah, we don't have an answer for that as a city on the widening. I do know that they have that as a major arterial road for the future, so there is going to be some widening happening regardless of any development that goes on, just because of what's happening in the foothills up there, but I couldn't tell you the width.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. My last question is, this paper says that this development comes within 300 feet of my property. What does that mean? Is it going to be 300 feet away from my property line that they build?
No, I think the letter says that the people that are notified are within 300 feet of that property that get the letters. I think that's what that says, right? You can address that, I think, on that. Yeah. Okay. All right. John, is it John Warner? Josh Warner? Okay, you live on Fountain Spring, 8405? No, nothing? Okay, all right, thank you. And then Connie Hess?
Hi, I'm not used to talking to a microphone, so forgive me if I make mistakes.
You
My
are
name
okay.
is, thank you. My name is Connie Hess and I live at 8342 Copper Creek Way. So one of the reasons my husband and I moved here, we moved here in 2018 and we were looking for a wonderful community that would provide us quiet and less density. And the property we found that we moved into, we love. I think that it's really, I don't have Miss Lester's analytical skills that I research this, but I've lived my whole life growing up near farms and then having them annexed and, you know, multi-density housing, that kind of thing. I think it's really sad that our our area is turning from agricultural use to housing. There is a balance, I feel, between the two with quality of life. And I would suggest, I mean, I have no issues with the school. I think that Middleton does need a new school, but the density, number one, the multi-housing, the apartments, townhouses, fourplexes, whatever you want to call them, I think is a really sad and criminal type thing. And I don't mean criminal like, you know, going to jail, but I think it's a very unfortunate thing that we would have to, in our areas where we have 1 to 10 acres of property, or half acres to 10 acres, that we have to then worry about all that density, the crime that happens. We hear about the crime in Ada County in areas that you would never think that it would have happened. I don't want to see that. One of the reasons that we moved there, when we moved into our home, we didn't have a security system. And the homeowner said, "You live out here. Are you crazy? You don't need a security system." I'm like, well, you never know. Now I have a security system. I don't like the fact that people could walk behind homes and then look into your house, because you don't know if they're scoping out your house to come in and break in or kidnap your children, or, you know, various different things that could happen. And I would like to propose that, number one, that you look at the detached homes being a larger lot. Half acre, I feel, is a minimum that it should be, could be more. Also, the multi-use housing, I think, should be left to like along Highway 16. You know, let it be where people aren't going to be cherishing their environment, why they've moved here 6, 10, 4 years ago, and have to give all that up for, I'm going to use quotation marks, diversified, I think was the term that was used. I've lived in apartments and everything else, but I've chosen to live near here with the quality of life, the quiet, the peacefulness, the neighborhood. And I would just like to have that be under consideration.
Okay, thank you. Mark, Mr. Mark, are you still here, Christensen? Yeah. Sorry. Figured not a lot on this sheet.
Mark Christiansen, 8095 Goldstream Court, and thank you, Mayor, Council, staff, and Becky for allowing me to speak. I'm new. I've signed up as neutral. I say that because, of course, I'm Middleton City Council, and I've been in your chairs many, many times, and I understand. I've reviewed all the material, the FLUM, the comp plan, the application, and I can understand the conclusions that you've come to in the application. But on the other end, what I would suggest, maybe most of the comments I've heard tonight refer to, I don't know if you can put that map back up or not, but this is a 3.07 per acre, but the areas where the homes are built are far more dense, similar to what Lester's have indicated. The challenge is all the way around, all 4 sides of this are not consistent with that density. There is one, Crescent Lake, which is an R3 that is similar to that density, but otherwise, as mentioned earlier, they're all acres, mostly new upscale homes, not all. And this is inconsistent with that. With us, in my opinion, driving a number of the concerns that are being levied here tonight. That said, there's a couple of other things. On your conditions of approval, I didn't find anything really notable other than access to Highway 44. Those of us that live north of this, myself, I live up in Lakes of Talaga. And for us to come down through, and by the way, Middleton has gone through a number of issues with traffic related to their schools. I don't know when this school is going to be built. My backyard is a school property that was donated in 2007 or 2008, and it's still there. And so who knows when it's going to be built up, but the reality is they bring traffic. So anybody from the north traveling south on Kingsbury is going to be stuck in traffic during certain times of the day. The outlet would be Foothill, which the only way that Foothill can take you is westbound. Eastbound on Foothill is not possible. That's an impediment for a lot of us, even aside from this project. But it is that traffic density. I read the traffic statement and I see the numbers and I understand them. But I also know the realities of school bring a whole different density issue. And that is very concerning to the majority of us, whether we live in proximity or not. I'd also suggest that build quality. I saw the pictures, Becky. I appreciate the pictures. And it is true that CBH builds a range of homes from beginner homes to better quality homes, such as in Caden Creek sub. I'm out of time, but I would consider that this, you guys have a project here that meets the requirements, but I think there's some things that can be done to be good neighbors. Becky, you know, talking with what's been said here, I think there's some opportunity for berms and fences and things like that. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Is it Miss Tammy Bromley? Did I say that right?
Okay, my name is Tammy Bromley and I live at 8856 Silver Spur Lane. I am in the area of impact of the city of Star, but I do not live within its boundaries. My address is actually a Middleton address, but I don't get to vote in either Star or Middleton elections. So I really don't have a big voice other than to come and personally represent myself. I live off of Silver Spurs down off of Lansing Lane. And I travel to Caldwell nearly every morning. And I take my life into my hands trying to turn westbound onto Highway 44 as it is now without the additional traffic. In the last 3 years, I believe there's been at least 2 fatalities, and there may have been more. Some of that information has not been released. I do understand that there is a consideration for putting in a traffic light at either Duff or at Lansing. If they put one in at Kingsbury, I definitely would agree with that. We need some kind of a break in traffic. When I try to go eastbound on Highway 44, if I'm pulling my horse trailer, I literally have people, as I am in the middle of my turning off of Lansing, also trying to go eastbound, but they're headed southbound. And they turn and they cut off in front of me and think that the turn lane for the westbound traffic on 44 is their right to come into 44 and cut me off. So I've had to slam on my brakes and throw my horses on their noses. And I really don't want a big vet bill. And I really don't want to lose my life turning on that highway. So I really would like someone to do something about the traffic on 44 and adding another, looking at the number of cars that would be traveling in there, probably a minimum, and I haven't had the time to look at the data, but I'm just in my raw calculations, a minimum of 3,200 to probably 4,200 trips a day added onto Highway 44. It can't handle it. You're going to have people getting killed. I do really applaud that you're taking a look at this and you're looking at smart growth. I've lived in the Treasure Valley for 38 years. I moved out to Star after I got my kids through college and wanted the agrarian rural atmosphere. And I hope wisely selected some property that I'm going to have some boundaries with. But my concern is for those others who also bought for a rural atmosphere that they may be losing it, especially with those high density housing issues. On the other side, and I'm a neutral person, so I'm seeing both sides of this, and I really have a lot of empathy for you sitting where you are. All 3 of my adult children, 2 of them have had to move out of Idaho because they can't afford housing. So I do appreciate that they're trying to find some kind of housing that Idaho young adults can afford.
Thank you, Miss Tammy. Miss Lori Bloud. You there? There you are. Mablad, sorry.
The norm. No one can say my name. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Lori Balad, 8582 West Stillmore Street in Star. First question is, how many of the pathways exactly are going to be multi-use pathways and not regular pathways? I know you mentioned them. I would like to know if all of them going to the parks and the schools are multi-path so that we get the bicycles off the streets. Privacy, in Toll Brothers at Regency at Milestone, we are having problems with the privacy with the issues, and I will be bringing that to City Council. We are having the 5-foot fences, and we are having problems because when you stand on your deck, you literally can see when I move into my house on Friday, I literally will be able to see 3/4 of the window of my neighbor. And again, when you buy the plot, it's flat on the paper. Had no idea when I bought it that the house was going to be sitting up several feet above me. So they're going to be looking straight down. So I urge you to see if the city council could start putting in some type of recommendations of minimum above 5 foot to make sure that the developers, I know that they want to make money, but they're squeezing in the houses. I thank you. You just added the minimum width to 7.5 feet in between the houses. I don't know what the minimum from the backyard to the fence is, but I would like to know what the minimum is and see if we can get that increased as well. The aesthetics, I'd like to go back to the pictures. The alley loads are much more aesthetically pleasing. The ones with the front load townhomes, all you do is you drive up and you see garage, and it's not very appealing to the community. Also, for that amount of houses, I don't think there's a requirement for diversity in the Ada County or in Star. And I would like to see the amount of houses. Right now you have it 45% townhomes, 365 exactly townhomes and fourplex units, and 456 single-family homes. That's almost 50-50. Of it being just barely over on single-family homes. If this is supposed to be something that we're doing in Star, most of us moved away from Meridian to get away from the build and how they're building in here. This is Meridian on steroids because of the fourplexes. I've never even heard of a fourplex before, but I would, not knowing, it just sounds horrible. I say, please get rid of them and put in more single family. To me, it should be at least 75% single family homes. There's a lot of area there. Also, it's not unheard of for developers to actually pay for the schools. They're the ones that have bought the land and decided to move there. I know that they're donating the land and they're donating the streets and different things, but I would like to see them, like in other areas, actually build the buildings. If there's a fire station, I would like to see them build that, and the city park for bathrooms.
So I will just tell you that we can't force them to build the schools. That's not an Idaho thing.
I'm asking.
No, but that's not something that the council can
No,
do.
I know.
Right, that's a state thing.
Thank
And
you.
as far as the fire buildings, they are paying for that with fire impact fees. And that's how this new fire station is being built right now, is with the building community.
So what I'm afraid of with the school is to be able to get the school built, they're giving land, but it will take a property tax bond to build the school.
So what it's going to take is the Milton School District to save up the money they're getting from the state, just like West Ada just did here for the new school on the Ada County side, and
Wonderful.
pay for it from the money from the state and not go to a bond.
Mhm.
There's many ways that they can do that. It's just, we can't, that discussion needs to happen at the state level to make
know.
that change, right?
I just say
You
it,
can't force that.
I just say it repeatedly, so it's on the
I know you
records.
do.
So,
I want people to understand that, but we
Yes.
can't force that
right.
here as a city
Mhm.
on there, so.
So
Mayor Chadwick.
there was something.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Mayor Chadwick.
Yes, sir, Councilman Nielsen.
This has come up a few times, and I think it's, one of these, an opportunity for us to maybe provide some additional information. You don't have to agree with it. You can agree with it or not. But when it comes to, the diversity of housing or the higher density housing, our comprehensive plan does call out, as accurately pointed out earlier, that that we want to preserve our rural heritage and have some of these rural elements still as part of our community. The comprehensive plan also calls out that the higher density housing should be built along state highways, collectors and corridors. And so what you're seeing here is the comprehensive plan being followed in that regard. High density housing, most people don't know this, but when you're concerned about traffic, a single family home averages more than 9 trips per day. High density housing averages less than 3. And so you've got a 60% reduction in traffic when you build high density housing.
I guess what I'm doing is not asking about the traffic or so forth, but it's the aesthetics and it's the community feel.
I understand.
I have nothing against different, I owned a townhouse. It's just, it's almost 50% is non-single family homes. It just seems to be that the developer could reduce the amount of those homes and add more single family. That's all I'm saying.
And don't take what I've said as advocating one way or another. This is just how our comprehensive plan is structured, how our planning documents work, and then some of the thought process behind that. So.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lori.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right. We do have people that signed up that didn't sign up to speak. They will be included in the record, just so you're aware. We are actually going to take a facilities break here real quick and come back. Well, it's at 9:05. So we're going to take a recess at 8:55, come back at 9:05, and then we'll have the applicant rebuttal to answer some of your questions too. Okay. It's 9:07 and we're going to resume our public hearing. After all the comments were made from the public, Becky, it's your turn to do the rebuttal, please. You have 10 minutes for the rebuttal, and the staff and the council may ask you questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Becky McKay, Engineering Solutions. I'll try to address some of the questions and concerns that have been expressed.
Can
you
we
hear
turn
me?
that up more, Ryan, in there?
Yep, be pulled to you closer.
Okay.
I got a loud voice.
You might have to eat the mic.
Sorry.
How's that?
Okay.
What's the matter?
Go with it. Yep.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the comments was made about the gross density and how it's calculated. You can take a pod of townhomes or take a pod of fourplexes or take an area of single family and you will get different densities. But your zoning ordinance, your comprehensive plan bases it on gross density and not net density. And we meet the requirements as far as the 3.06 dwelling units per acre, or if you add up the whole thing, less than 3. We also have that band of mixed use. So the urban residential of 3, the mixed use allows you to go over, but we're just right at that cusp. And the questions were about buffering. I mean, we have extensive buffers, 50 feet wide, 80 feet wide. We will be doing berming. We will be doing fencing. We will be doing a combination of trees. We have a great landscape architect that's been working on this project with us. All of our landscape plans will meet or exceed your requirements. This project is a special one due to its size. Obviously, the quality of the landscaping makes and breaks a community. This is not just another subdivision. There was a comment about this right here. That is an office building. I couldn't think of anything else to do with that. And we had to pull that collector down to intersect with Blessinger. And so that's just a little office building. As far as this buffer here, that is 50 feet wide, all the way down from the edge of pavement. Across the street, this area here, the way I designed these townhomes, instead of loading them all along the collector, we have this loop street so that this is 2 acres. This area here is 1.29 acres. So as you drive down, you're going to have, it's going to have an open field. You're going to get that buffering. We have that linear open space. The reason that we transition to the town, from the commercial to the townhomes and have a little pod of fourplexes is to provide diversity. A project of this size, if I did all half-acre lots, the developer would go broke because he'd have to sell them for so much money because of having to put in $1 million light, build intersection improvements. We have the donation of the park, the donation of the school, all the pathways, the piping, all of the infrastructure. This lift station, this regional lift station, I think that was like $2.4 million was invested by Star Sewer and Water District. And it wasn't intended to serve 1 acre lots. I mean, obviously it's intended to be urban densities. You have urban densities kitty corner to us. There's a variety of lot sizes and uses within this area. And this is a major transportation transit corridor. It's not like it's, you know, it's different than even a section line road. Mr. Coyle asked about his septic system, the Backage Road. We will be stubbing the sewer outside of the right-of-way. We won't be going onto anybody's private property. All we're doing is putting stubs where, probably in the middle, or we'll look at where structures are. And if those are used, they're used. If not, then they never get used. No one's going to make him get rid of his septic system, get rid of his well. This Backage Road is part of your transportation plan, Highway District 4's transportation plan, to help facilitate this and keep this as a transit corridor, limiting the accesses so that we can have higher volumes in the future. It's intended that State Street is going to be 5 lanes. It's going to be like Chinden. They've studied it and studied it and studied it. I think this is about their 4th study. And I had one gentleman tell me when I did Heron River, why do they have to keep studying it? I can look out my house at 5:30 and tell you it needs to be 5 lanes. And so, I mean, this discussion has been going on since 2006. That's what I'm telling you. The question was the current agricultural use. This development does not contradict nor go against your comprehensive plan and your land use map. It complies with the layering of uses, the commercial corridor along Highway 44. It talks about incorporating public uses, which we do have 2 public uses. It talks about the variety of homes. This project includes a variety of homes. And let's see what else. Water rights. This property has full water rights, 296 shares, 296 acres, 296 shares, 296 inches of water. Anybody that we will be piping water that goes to the west. We will be piping the drains. This pond will store the 24-hour water right. And it will then overflow back into the Lemp Canal. So any excess water will go on down the Lemp. These properties are served by the Flake Lateral. The Flake Lateral is on the south side. I don't have anything to do with the Flake Lateral in this particular project. We will have to, any drainage, Any live ditches, we have to pipe. It's state law, it's in your code. Quality of life. Quality of life's important. And as a planner, that's one of my number one things. When I design these projects, I design them myself, and it takes me a long time. I draw it out by hand, I draw it out by scale, the old-fashioned way. And I always think about how can I make this project better and improve the quality of life? So when people live here, they're proud that they live in Terramore. And Terramore means love of the land. And that's what, I grew up on a farm. I love farming, and I'm pro-ag, but we do have to provide housing for residents. We have to provide, not everybody can live on a half-acre lot or an acre lot or a 2-acre lot. 2-acre lots just to the east of you are going for $2 million. I mean, it's just crazy, these prices. We've got to have a variety of lot sizes. And in here, I do. I have lot sizes that vary in width and depth to accommodate different types of houses. And if someone can only afford a townhome, then we have a townhome. If this is all single product, those are the projects during the downtimes that went back to the bank. I've been doing this 35 years. And those single product projects were the ones that were hit the hardest. And so we learned our lesson that you want to build a community, you want to build a neighborhood, and you anchor it with schools, with parks, with collectors and pathways and clubhouses and pools and amenities, so that even in the slow times, people will want to live here over another project.
Becky, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Right here on this segment here, we'd like to probably put a fence along that, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's what you're going to be doing there?
Yes, sir. We will put a perimeter fence up.
Okay, is there a berm in there too? Is that what you're saying?
There's 50 feet there.
So we could berm it and fence it? Okay,
There's
so it could be
that's
berm
50
fence.
feet wide.
Okay, all right.
It's 50 feet wide. There is a ditch that we have to pipe that comes along there. I think it's taking some drainage from these properties. Ryan Morgan and I walked it, and Tim Clark. And then there'll be a pressure sewer line that runs 2 feet off that or 5 feet off that pipe. But yes, we can do berming and we always do perimeter fencing. It's not like, we're just going to be open to the adjoining parcels.
And that's the same thing then up here off of this collector on the top?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right,
Well, there's a ditch there. There's a ditch, that Lemp Canal is there.
right there.
Yes, it is. So the Lemp Canal comes in here, and then it comes and goes, you can see it go across Kingsbury. So, we'd have to put the fence on the inside of the Lemp, which I'm not sure the Middleton Mill Ditch Company would allow me because they have to have access. And we need eyes on that for ditch safety purposes. So that would be probably the exception.
Okay.
Lastly, we don't have any on-street bike lanes. All of our bike lanes are our mixed-use pathways. That's why they're 10 feet. Bikes, peds, scooters, skateboards.
And all the pathways throughout that are the multi-use pathways, right? I
The
think
mul-
someone asked a question, I think, about going into the school. They're all 10 foot.
All of these are 10 feet through here, all the way down here and along here. And then I think we have 12 feet that runs along the Lemp that will be paved, and it'll run there. And then this will be 12 feet where we pipe the drain 10C. And then these are 8 feet. Anything that leads to the school, like this pathway here, or this pathway, or this one that leads to the park, will be 8.
Okay.
And if the council would like those to be 10, I mean, 8 or 10, you know, some of the cities like Eagle, if it leads to a park or a school, they want 10 because it is heavier traffic.
Right. Okay.
So I would leave that up to the council.
All right. You have some questions?
Sorry. So the little red building that you're calling an office, is that a site for an office, or is that an office that's already existing or will be existing?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Wheelock, it would be a future office. We just were trying to figure out some practical use for that, being segregated from the rest of the project. And so it's just a small office that's a little building, like a dentist or an orthodontist.
Yeah. So we could,
I show it clearly as office. It is not commercial.
So some small,
yeah, so
low
we,
impact.
Low
Right.
impact, yeah, they'd be an 8 to 5.
so we put that in the development agreement that always stays as an office, so it doesn't get developed any other way.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Any other questions of Miss Becky?
I have, sorry, Councilman,
Councilman Hershey?
I just one. You mentioned the width of the berms and all that down by the red office and that, well, you know what we're talking about, the south side right there. What is the distance from the projected edge of the closest, let's just say that office building? What's the distance between that and the property that would be closest affected?
Right here,
Yes.
I think we had that at 15 feet,
Where at? Over here?
right here. That's at 15 feet, the
That's-
setback. But I mean, we could flip that and put it over, I mean, that's a concept. That building doesn't have to be like that, and that parking lot, well, I do have to have the parking lot across from that approach.
Well, it's,
The
so
playground.
everybody's aware, we,
Is right here.
the discussions between the council and the applicant, right? No one else can provide more comment into this. Okay. So you want to continue on with your,
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can even ask this, but how about you just remove it?
move it, make it a pocket park, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing that you could do on that, but
Or utilize it for storm drainage.
or you.
So, yes, that's what I mean. Just no occupied structure. Because it really is close. I mean, that's a legit argument there.
And it's a little, I mean, it was tight in there. It was tight, I admit. I just was trying to figure out, you know, what kind of a practical use I could think of.
Mr. Mayor, Council, being on a major collector and at that curve, I wouldn't recommend it being a park. Just be open.
No, but she
Landscaped.
could do a drainage area
Yes, yes.
as well. And that's probably needed and help out with the project.
Yeah.
And to be clear for everybody that it's Becky's job to maximize the project. It's our job to negotiate this thing as best as we can to benefit everybody involved, right?
That to me is the most impactful piece that we've discussed, separate from the whole thing being impactful on rural residential or farming, whatever ag use has been used around.
So
Mr.
would you
Mayor,
agree to take that
Councilman
out, I guess?
Wheelock, I can't disagree with you there. As far as these residents, yes, that is most impactful. And it's really not I mean, it's not connected to my other office and commercial uses, so I think that's probably a good compromise.
Yeah, take it out, drainage, have the berm and the fencing along the properties there to separate that. So can't remember what his name was. I'm sorry.
Lester.
Lester?
Yes.
Yeah, so as Mr. Lester indicated, you know, he didn't want to have to be responsible for paying for any fence, which I don't disagree with, that gets taken care of for him, so.
I don't want
And
him,
for all the property owners along that.
This is gone.
I don't want him to count the cars going through there.
No. No. Okay. Other questions? Did you have more questions, Councilman Hershey? I'm
No,
sorry.
that's really where I just was having the biggest sticking point was that it's gone now. So thank you.
Okay,
You're welcome.
Councilman Wheelock?
Did we cover the edges of the park with that connectivity? You're still good with that? On the north and west
Oh.
of the future park?
Yes, yes, I believe Sean was adding that as a condition in our previous conversation.
You know, you talk about enough things. I want to double
Yep.
back and make sure everything's not.
Make sure
Yep.
Sean's got that written down.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like for that to be, yeah. I wouldn't want the developer to put it in there and then us have to rip it out because it doesn't match our design. So
What now?
wouldn't want the developer to put it in and then when we design the park, it has to be ripped out. So I'd rather
I think,
have the option of him bonding for it and then we can, when we build it, we can
okay, we
get that in.
we could do that too.
Just want to have that
Council
option.
Yeah.
It's just so that it gets put in a timely manner, so that it does have the connectivity that we've always been looking for.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other questions there, Councilman?
I'm still, I'm mostly good. But I had a discussion with the mayor about the trees in the town, is it the townhomes? The front load townhome? Or apartments?
This one right here?
Yep, all those little trees on the inside. That they be sized appropriate so that they don't grow into the drive aisle inside that development part.
You see what we're talking about, Miss Becky, right here? Those little island trees that he's talking about right
Yeah,
there?
those are the island trees are required to break up the parking
Yeah.
lot.
My
Yeah.
daily driver's big enough that it ends up rubbing all of those. And
So it's like a class 1 tree, basically,
just
right?
smaller trees so that it doesn't grow into the drive aisle long
Right.
term.
And the same would be true along Highway 44 with those power lines. They have standards and certain species that they recommend. So we would also consult with them.
Okay. Ms. Jennifer?
Just probably one question, regarding the, do you have like I know it's probably tough, but like an estimated, like average price of what the single family homes will, like what the market will be, what they'll sell for? I know that's rough.
Boy, that's a tough.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Samuelson, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't, until the lot comes online and the developer knows what they have into, that phase, then that kind of sets the price of the home that's going to be built on it.
I guess, is there a price point the developer is hoping to stay under?
Well, I think the average single family dwelling in Ada County is what, 520 now?
Yeah, 520.
And
On the
then-
star side on the river, which are different homes, there's about 800,000 to $1 million. So
Yeah,
on
and
a
Canyon
bigger-
County.
on the smaller lot.
On the smaller lot.
Yeah, so I can imagine these are probably going to be anywhere from 500 to 650 by the time that they end up coming online, is my guess. And I'm former commercial construction guy, just looking at the price per square foot and the size of the houses that get built. And the cost of materials, unless we can get things figured out as a country, it's going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
All right, and then the townhomes, will those, I'm sorry, those be owner occupied or?
Yes, yes,
rented?
ma'am.
Okay.
They would be on each separate lots.
Yeah, okay. And then the fourplexes are more of a rental.
Yes, yes.
Resident.
And we have, those are not on separate lots. So they would not be
One
sold
lot.
to individual investors or anything. Those are just on, that's one lot.
Got it.
Where they are located. And then I think the parking area is a lot.
Yep. All right. I think that's all I have.
Councilor Nielsen?
No questions.
I have one more question,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor. If you can scroll diagonally up to the left,
to the northwest?
north, west, correct. So up just a little bit, Sean, if you can. These lots here that are not in your development, sorry, how do they compare with the size lots here? Are they bigger lots? Deeper?
I'd say that development's probably, it's at least three dwelling units per acre, looking at it. And the lots, as far as my lots are deeper. Those may be a little bit wider, but I have some lots that are 150 feet deep. It just depends on, which lots you're comparing it to. My lots do get bigger, wider, and deeper as we go north.
It's something that I've noticed. We seem to be shrinking in our backyards, and some of them are substantially deeper than lots that we've approved in the past. And I recognize there's a change, a dramatic change for the people living within a rock throw of this. But the reality is some of these lots are significantly deeper than what I would consider a modern subdivision, I guess.
Right. Okay.
And I want to tell you, I appreciate that part of it.
Thank you, sir. I like to have deeper lots. I don't like a lot to be just 100 feet deep. And so I like 125s to 150s and a variety for different families. If you got a big family, you want a bigger backyard.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions of Ms. Becky before we have her sit down? Councilwoman?
So I guess I have a couple of questions for maybe more staff, but maybe we want to leave it open, like leave Becky.
Well, she can stay there. You can
Yeah,
ask staff
okay,
questions.
So there was, somebody brought up the school traffic, on Kingsbury. And so I'm wondering, like, was there just, any discussion, with the school or Highway District 4 or the developer, applicant about, like mitigating that school traffic on Kingsbury? Is there more safety concern, I guess?
I think the school traffic, I'm going to bring this up.
Yeah.
I think the school traffic is not going to be on Kingsbury because the schools, you're going to have school traffic on any of the roads, right? Coming
Some.
into the project.
Yeah.
But I think the parent drop-off stuff is mostly off of that Cornell. Is that what they're calling that?
Carrera,
What is it?
Carrera.
Carrera. It's going to be off of that Carrera Road. It's not going to be off of Kingsbury because that's going to be a bus entrance off of Kingsbury,
Yeah.
off of there.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Selmason, so the parent drop-off, there's an approach right here to the school, an approach right here to the school. This is the parent parking. Then there's a parking lot that's here. And what we were asking is a variance from Highway District 4 to allow the buses and teachers to come in here and exit. And they're not recommending approval of that. The school district has asked me to submit a variance. It's nice if we can separate those school buses from the parents. They even agreed to gate it so that no one can come in and out. And then when Kingsbury is widened, it's a principal arterial. In the future, they even were thinking a right in, right out would work. Because there'll be a roundabout up here, so they'd come up, go around the roundabout, come back down, or they have options, you know. And a lot of these kids are gonna, from this neighborhood, will walk to the school.
And so I'm gonna ask Sean real quick. The school will have to come back if the school district gets their money to do a CUP, right?
At this point, we've built it into the PUD in the development agreement. You're approving the school. So
Well, I think we need to not approve the school and have them come back so we,
it's your choice.
I mean, we, just so we can discuss, because we don't know what that's truly gonna look like until they get their money.
Yep.
And figure out that layout on how that traffic is.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I think you could approve it to be a school, but you're
Well, we
not
can approve it to
actually,
be a
yeah,
school.
but you're not actually approving the development of the school. You're just approving that part of this development includes donating that to the
Correct.
district for a school, but the school district would still have to come in like West Ada did. Even though they own the property on the other side of town from here, they still had to come in and get approval for their specific project. And we discussed traffic and all those things. So I would expect Middleton School District would have to do the same.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm intending. That's what I mean.
So just to be clear, just to be clear, you're wanting it to be a conditional use permit to come back to the council.
Yeah, because we
Okay.
need to address the layout and we've already been through this discussion once this year. And I think we just need to have a good discussion on it, but we're proving that as being a school site for them. We can work through the details, of what that looks like, right there.
And Mr. Mayor, one thing that the school district indicated to me is the other site that they have that's further west, just the grading alone to make the lot buildable is $2 million. And they have to build a lift station to serve it. So that site is kind of cost prohibitive. Whereas this site, they just have to build the facility.
And from the school, talking to the school district, on top of some of the money that they are getting from the state, utilizing that, saving the money on that, this saves everybody money in the long term, having that site right here. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
All right, and then along that same line, I think that there was somewhere, there was brought up about bus stops and having a safe spot for kids, and they probably would not go into the neighborhood. I'm trying to think, like, do you have a few, like, would that be along Highway 44 then? That those stops would be, and Kingsbury possibly? Or
It'd be on the collectors, on the internal
on the
collectors.
internal collector?
Yeah. On those Cornell or whatever you call it.
Well, those kids are probably all walking.
No, I know, but
But the ones for.
for
I guess
outside of this
for-
development,
Yeah, so
That's
middle
all-
school, high school pickup, right?
that's
would
all
need
up
to
to
go
the school
somewhere.
district to decide where the bus stops are. We can't
Yeah.
dictate in here.
Yeah, and so in their response was saying that they're not going to go into the neighborhood. So it would be along that Cornell
Correct.
or the northwest would be
Yeah, well,
somewhere.
whatever that's
those ones.
south,
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
north.
Councilman Selmason, yeah. They would specify where, for the high school kids or junior high kids, where the bus stops will go.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like a transit stop for public transportation, we don't have it out.
Right. Yeah, that's not what I was.
It's not, we don't have a
Yeah.
park and ride.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So that covers my school question. And then I do have another question about maybe like somebody submitted a letter that we got today, and there was some questions about like emergency service, providing service to this new development and making sure that it's at the same level of service, or how this project, if it gets approved, what the impact will be. And so I'm wondering if we could have the police maybe speak about that, or the mayor.
Chief
Well-
Hessing, do you want to talk to that about police? You can stay up there,
And
Becky.
how
You can-
you're,
Or you can talk back there off of the microphone if you want, and then Becky can answer questions.
Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Solomson, Chief Hessing, so you're asking about what the servicing this area for police services would look like?
yes.
So what we look at, and anytime a subdivision, especially this size, comes in, our services, we have goals as a city to be under 4 minutes response time. We also we want to keep under 18 crimes per thousand resident wise. In order to accomplish those goals and keep continuing that service, we always strive for the 1 officer per 1,000. So for this particular subdivision, you're looking at approximately about 2,400 people that could live here. So that'd be about 2.5 officers over time. I know it's not right now, but as this is built out, you're looking at about 2.5 officers that would need to be added to the Star Police Department to service and to protect this area. So I think as long as we're looking at that, I really don't have any big concerns about this subdivision. I mean, it is, it's still accessible off of Highway 44. We have also, as soon as Floating Feather goes through to that area, it's easy access, especially where our Star Police Department currently is located. We're not too far away from it. So again, my biggest thing is just making sure that we have the officers per 1,000 and keep it that mark.
And I'm gonna address some more of that. You good, Chief? Real quick?
Sure, unless, Councilwoman, if you have any other questions about law enforcement.
And I will tell you that we do, it's unique to the city of Star and nobody else in the state's doing this. We do require mitigation fees to help pay for our police with the developments. And so they're paying roughly $3,600 per house as an additional cost to come in to help pay for our police initially. While we're working on some solutions with the state to try to help fund public safety throughout the entire state. Because the public safety issue is not just a unique issue to Middleton, Star, or this area. It's a problem throughout the state. We are working on what's called a PSID. It's an idea that Chief Tominski and I have been working on for a while. It's called a Public Safety Improvement District. That if in the state leadership in our house are on board with this, that allows us to put areas under this district that would help us pay long-term for the police and for the fire and for the EMS. And it's gaining some legs because they actually have a bill written up right now for that, which is great. Okay. So we do have hopefully some relief coming on board with this stuff. It's stuff that we've been working on hard to make sure our public safety is there. Let me see. So I'm going to try to answer some of your other questions on here. And that, I guess, one of the questions was with the House Bill 389 and how it caps our ability. That's where this PSID supplements that to help combat that challenge there. This also asked about, will STAR provide mutual aid at no cost to the city of Middleton for increased calls for service? Well, we have that already. I mean, Mid-Star Fire is Star and Middleton Fire, right? Chief, right? And there is already a mutual aid agreement, and there is a fire station right on Kingsbury that would service this location. It's actually jointly staffed with personnel from Star Fire District and personnel from Middleton Fire District. So they're already doing this joint agreement on that. So that takes care of that issue. And we do have a strategic plan in place, believe it or not. Chief and I have been working on this strategic plan. And the fire has their strategic plan for the next, actually, I think almost 10 years that we're looking at as far as what the needs are going to be as growth happens over the next 10 years, as far as the number of officers, substation locations, things like that. The city of Star is also updating our impact fees, where we have a police impact fee that's going to be involved with that. So this development, when that happens, is going to be paying impact fees to not just the fire, but to police, to parks, to pathways that we're all doing as a city on top of Highway District 4. So there is a lot of infrastructure for public safety, like I don't know what you call the livability, I guess, of the community with parks and things like that are being accounted for outside of this public hearing. So all these things are in play, and these are all questions that were asked by Ms. Hernandez on a letter that we received today. So I want to make sure that got out there in the public side, that stuff is being taken care of.
Mr. Mayor,
Does that answer your question? Does that help answer that question, Chief?
do you also want to update on the potential substation and officer at the school? When we
Oh,
talked to the-
yes. And so we have been actively working with the school districts to add little substations at the schools themselves and have officers stationed at those schools, right? That's something unique to the city as well. I don't think a lot of people are doing that. This is outside of
Funded by the city.
funded by the city through impact fees and stuff like that to get these substations done. So there's a lot of different things that we're doing as a city to accommodate our safety. When someone talked about safety issues, City of Star has one of the lowest crime rates in the entire state. Where we have a goal of 18 per thousand, we're actually down to 12 per thousand. We have become, because of the proactive policing model that we have as a community, as a City of Star, we have become known as a community that drug traffickers do not want to bring drugs through because they see that they're going to get pulled over. And it's on body cam footage with these guys saying, I was told not to come through Star. We created a team called the POP team, which is problem-oriented policing team here in the City of Star that allows our officers to go out there and hammer folks that are doing drugs and things like dealing drugs, human trafficking, causing issues. They're out there proactively talking to businesses, to community members, to the schools, doing all this kind of stuff to make certain that our community stays safe. And I'm very proud of the fact that the City of Star is a leader in that, in our entire valley right there. So I do believe the City of Star addresses all of these public safety issues that get brought up quite extensively, honestly, and look out for things in the future to try to make certain that we're all going to be safe in the long term. And I do, and so our deputies, they're Ada County Sheriff's deputies. We have a contract. They're dual deputized. They make arrests and stuff on the Canyon County side. When they do that, they take them to Canyon County Jail. We have an agreement in place with Canyon County Prosecutor. You know, we have an agreement in place with the, well, I guess with the Canyon County Sheriff's Office to allow them to do this stuff. So all this stuff is all done. It's all there for public safety means. Does that
Yes, I
answer your
appreciate
question?
that. I appreciate that. You said all those things much more eloquently than I could and a lot of detail. So thank you.
I'm deep into it every day.
Yes, yes, you are. And I guess kind of along the same lines is regarding the park property. So, you know, as we develop our parks and, you know, the maintenance, how much money that will take to fund, you know, just maintaining our parks. And this is gonna be quite a ways away from, you know, they're gonna have to go get in their car and get down there to.
Well, the beautiful thing is with our parks that we have and all the parks that are going on right now, we are establishing personnel to work those parks, the specific parks. And we'll have facilities there to store like the lawnmowers and things like that, right? So this is not about just, I mean, you're going to have people that are specific working these areas.
And it's not going to be put in next year. It's not a.
No, this is going to
Right.
be a ways out before this park gets done. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions of Miss Becky? Everybody good? Okay. All right. It is 9:49. I'm going to close the public hearing and we're going to go to council deliberations. Somebody start.
I'll start it.
Okay.
I defer my time to Councilman Nielsen. No, just kidding. You know, I'm going to say this, you know what I like about this? It shows a very broad range down the future. You know what I hate about this? It shows it all at once. And that can be overwhelming. It's, but this development reminds me of the development that's going in right next to where I live. Because it has the fourplexes, which I never really knew what those were until I walked through them. And they're really set up pretty neat. It has the townhome element and it also has the single family houses. And when I walk through there, as it's developed over the years, one thing I've seen is families with young kids. Families with young kids that are not living in their parents' house that made me move my exercise room again. So what I'm saying is they are out there and they have their own place. It may be a rental, but you know, when you're young, rentals are good because you don't know where you're going to land. It also has the allowability to own a townhouse and or single family. I like that. And I think that's really important, very important. The fact that we removed the red house or the red, whatever that is, that was my major concern. I did not like where that was, and I'm glad that's gone. Hearing about the berm and the fence along, I'm pointing at a screen you can't see, but the south side, that berm and the fence area, I think is a very good factor to help with the privacy that everybody desires. And also the fact that they're donating money to the school will save millions down the road. The city park will be a very nice addition. The fact that we have public access to the park and to the schools on the paths is good. And yes, I'd like those to be 10 feet. I do believe we talked about that. We also talked about making sure we work with the drainage with Highway District 4 and us. Also publicly state we'd like lower speeds on the collectors to be 30 miles per hour or less. And that's we can't control that as much as we want, but we can definitely make it on the record. Also the perimeter pathway in the park is already discussed with the pathways itself. And if the park and school could be built in phase 1, I think that would be an added bonus. And also that little office will be removed. Have I covered everything that we've talked about? Because all other things considered, I have no concerns about our growth with police. No concerns whatsoever. We had 5 police officers when I came on this council. 5. And there's 1, 2, 3 of us that sat here when we had that. And now we have 6, 20. No, thank you, 20.
20.5.
20 or something like that. And a dog. And that is something because of our activity of doing mitigation fees and issues like that to allow us to grow it without hitting a tax burden on the residents. I also like the fact it does have some commercial. Obviously, we don't know what that's going to be, but that will come back before us. That helps balance the tax base because when I got on council 10 years ago, 93% of the taxes were coming out of the residents, 93%. Now it's 85 or 84.
84.
We're moving it in the right direction. We're trying to get to 70-30. And so that's a very slow boat to turn, but that is happening. And so this development showing its 20-year growth, and I think it's going to be longer because Heron River is not this big and it's still building, Becky. I use that, and that's been 21 years now. Okay.
19. The other direction.
Well, you don't get this job for math. Okay, so you don't even have to learn how to read. But so it really has a lot of things, and I fully understand all those that testified and all those that hear that, yes, when you see something like this, you're like, oh my gosh, there goes everything. But when done right, and when done right in the phases, it'll grow slow, it'll have the resources necessary, and it can actually be a very productive, beautiful place. So that's where I am with that. And if there's, I wrote all the conditions that I thought we need to add on top of the conditions that are already in there.
Any further comments?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
I also made a list. I think I've got a couple in here that to add. I'll just go through mine. It might be a little bit redundant. Before I do that, I want to say, I do appreciate the thoughtfulness that's gone into this application and the planning for it, especially as it relates to our comprehensive plan and the things that we've, as a council, not just as a council, but as a community. When our comp plan was put together, a full 10% of our community participated in that process, which is absolutely, sounds like a low number. That's amazing to have that kind of community involvement. And so as our purpose as a city under Idaho code is to plan for urban and urban-like development. And this really touches on all of those aspects of our comprehensive plan that are contemplated for this area. So appreciate that. As I look at the conditions of approval that I'm considering, I'll just go through the list. Swales to be constructed no more than 1 foot deep with dense trees, bushes, rocks, and sand beds to be covered with decorative rock. We're removing that red office area. I'm not sure what to call it. Is there a lot number we can reference on that, Becky? Maybe you can.
He'll put it in his, just tell him to reference the lot number as presented.
John, all right.
Yeah.
Trees in the island parking lot around townhomes to be limited to class 1 or smaller tree that does not obstruct the drive aisle. Highway commercial areas to require a CUP, and all future planning for those sites will consider aesthetics along Highway 44 such that we don't have any abandoned or neglected sides of the buildings. School use is approved but requires a CUP to proceed with development. Berm and fence south side along current residents' properties. 10-foot sidewalks on paths leading to park and schools. School and park to be provided for in phase 1.
School, what? Say that last one, I'm sorry.
School and park to be provided for in phase 1.
So you're saying that they build out the park? When you say provided for and paid for, just provided the land? I
Well,
lost
is
you.
it
Sorry.
part? The city's going to build the park, right?
Okay, right. I just wanted to make sure I heard it different. I just wanted to clarify that. Dedicated, yeah. In phase 1, right?
Well, but we've also, maybe this needs to go on the list. We also talked about them providing the pathways around the perimeter of the park. So if we're doing that in phase 1, we expect that to be them to build those pathways as part of phase 1, or just?
I think we bond for it, like what Sean was talking about, so we can officially get our design done on that. So it's built in the right locations. We're not tearing stuff out.
Okay, so that's what I mean by provided for.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I think there's maybe some details, and we can include those here, but maybe the discussion's enough. Sean, what do you think? He's busy writing.
Yeah, I think I've got everything you've.
Anything else?
I think that if you, on the school thing, that we just make sure that's in the agreement that the utilities are all stubbed and provided for at the site for the school.
Okay.
So there's no question about that.
So, and utilities provided for?
And we talked about the irrigation, some about the irrigation for the park, where the city, I'm trying to remember how we worded that. Yeah, Parks Department maintains the irrigation facility.
Is that a condition that we need to add, or is that?
It is, because it's a challenge with these HOAs, trying to, especially with the ones that we got parks tied into them.
Yep.
And we have millions of dollars of investment in the parks, and we can't get access into those pump houses. That's the problem.
So how do you want to say that, Mayor? You want that the city owns, or?
Well, the city will maintain, I guess, the pump house facilities. But with, obviously, the HOAs are going to have to help pay for some of the replacements and stuff on that. But we're the ones that maintain it. We don't leave it up to the HOA to maintain it and call people out and stuff like that.
So
That's what I'm trying to figure out how to word that. I don't know how to word
So city maintains and operates pump house facilities for
Yeah.
an entire
Plus, I think
site.
it's all going to be tied off the same pump, yes, because it could be for the entire subdivision out of that same pond up there.
The entire site.
Yeah. With the agreement that the HOA will help proportionally pay for the cost of any upgrades or improvements.
That way we're responsible and they can back
pay.
us.
Yeah.
Makes a steady income or a steady money flow for the whole project.
Yep.
Can I put something in there?
Yep.
So did you mention the pathway, the public easement? That gets in.
We
You did
mentioned
mention
the
that? Okay.
10-foot paths leading to the park and schools.
Okay, with a public easement.
Public easement, yeah.
Public easement.
On the pathways only. Because I think that was a concern that was brought up, so you don't have
The pathways that go to the school in the park.
no, all the pathways.
All the
And along.
Oh, yeah, no, but I meant the public easement part.
But public easement on all the pathways.
And probably any that
It's
are
all part of
going
our master
to
pathway
connect into like our master pathway. So I don't know, like along the Limb Canal. think we need that as well.
Public
Yes.
on all the pathways.
Definitely along the what is it?
Well, the canal
I
is.
mean, you're okay
is
with
not
all
our
the
right of-
pathways. See, they're okay
Yeah.
with putting all public easement on all the pathways.
Okay.
Yeah, all pathways. I'd like to see that. And then also the uses that staff
Recommend.
recommended for the commercial. Did you include that too, David?
Do we need to, I mean, that's already part of the packet.
Well, we
Well,
probably
put it
still
in the
need
development
to-
agreement and stuff. All these things that we're gonna say need to be put in the development agreement, so there's no question, so it's always tied.
Right, right. So that-
Understood, but those conditions that are in the packet,
Well, we want to direct the staff to include in our findings, right? That we want to use, I guess those, the uses that staff recommended as presented.
If you're okay with those, I will put those in the development agreement.
Yeah. Yep,
so uses recommended by staff to be part of the development agreement, to be added to the development agreement.
Okay.
those are the only others that I had. And I'll just add, like, yeah, I understand it's hard to see, the open fields go away. But we are living, we're developing a city, hopefully a hometown community. And I think that this project here is a good representation and can help, foster that hometown community with it supports our pathway master plan. It's supporting our eCamp map, and that plan and our comprehensive plan, which again also had input from the public, and so it meets that density. So I am in support of the project too.
Okay, any more comments or?
Mayor Chadwick?
Yes, sir. Councilman Nielsen?
Motion.
Okay,
Going to move that we approve this project with the following conditions, in addition to the conditions stated by staff in the staff report. The swales be constructed no more than 1 foot deep with dense trees, bushes, and rocks to create a beautiful landscape, and sand beds to be covered with decorative rock. We remove the red office area to be identified by staff by lot, and for the purpose of adding a drainage or a pocket park or something, open space related. The trees in the island parking lot around townhomes to be limited to class 1 or smaller tree that does not obstruct the drive aisle. Highway commercial properties to require a conditional use permit and future planning for those sites to consider aesthetics along Highway 44, such that no abandoned or neglected side of the buildings is presented. The school use is approved, but requires a conditional use permit to proceed with development. That berm and fencing along the south side, where adjacent to current residents, is provided. That 10-foot sidewalks on paths leading to the parks and schools, and all pathways receive a public easement, pathways only. The school and park properties are to be provided for in phase 1, and utilities, including utilities, and provided for means that those are dedicated and obligations bonded for or constructed as needed. Also, that the city maintains and operates the pump house facilities for the entire site. The HOA will enter into an agreement with the city to pay a proportionate share. And that uses recommended by staff in the staff report will be added to the development agreement.
okay, I got a motion.
Could we put one more thing in there, Kevin? To make sure that the, all those residents on that south fence or south border be provided with the sewer stubs so it's their option inside the development agreement.
So we're adding one more condition, that stubs for sewer and water to properties along the south of the development will be provided for.
And then I'm going to add one more for you to make sure that, I know Becky talked about it, but that whole strip is a public easement, so no one has a spite strip along there.
And what area are we talking about?
So
I
it's
just wanna be
this,
really
It's
clear.
where the red building
yeah,
is.
same place that we're putting the fencing and the berm,
Mhm.
that strip, that entire strip has a public easements on there. So that at some time in the future, if they decide to do, if the homeowner decides to do anything, that they can get access there. We don't have a spite strip there.
For their
that the HOA
protection,
owns. Yeah.
literally.
Yes, I will add that to the motion.
I'll second that motion if it's done.
Okay, we have a motion. Are you done, Kevin?
Yes, sir.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? I just will say also, based on the conversations that Miss Becky had, and I'm sure our police are concerned about the speed limits on those things, that we will actively work on that as a city with Highway District 4 to try to adjust these speed limits accordingly that are safer for everybody in the community. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
I,
Nielsen.
I,
All right, that motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
there's one more thing I'd like to say. A couple of folks mentioned, look, we don't live in Middleton, we don't live in Star, we don't get to vote, our voices aren't heard. Your voices are heard tonight. At least I feel like I heard. And, even though, well, you may or may not have wanted this development to be approved, but I feel like the things that you shared tonight, I know this, I can tell in the conditions that we put here, our council took those to heart. And looking at this application attempted to take those into consideration and improve it and provide for things that at least some of the things that you guys asked for. Yeah, I guess that's what I want to say. This process is designed so that everybody's voice gets heard. And regardless of whether you vote for us, this is a public hearing and you have a voice. And I appreciate you coming out tonight and sharing it.
Okay, thank you. All right. We're going to move on to item 5A. Ryan, are you going to come talk to that? Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Be safe. So we're going to turn it over to Ryan to talk about some vehicle purchases that we need to make as a city. He's got some options. And I think believe it or not, Bob is here at a late night as he's part of this
Mr.
discussion.
Mayor, members of the council, we are very grateful and blessed that Bob is actually one of the newest residents of Star. He now lives in Star. So we now can see him at more of our meetings. And he graciously said he would love to come tonight, even though he was up at 5 o'clock out making our parks beautiful and everything else. So I have been told I need to do this very quickly, so I'm going to do it as efficiently as I can. Before you, we need to establish a program so that we can have better vehicles within the city. Currently, our program of just going and buying the cheapest vehicles that we can becomes very costly because we have vehicles that are down, we have vehicles that cost us a lot in repairs, et cetera. We also need several new vehicles. What you have before you is Bob has been working very closely with the Ford leasing agent. Just so you know, this agent also or does sales. One of his other clients is also ITD, so he's very familiar with how our programs work and what our needs are. What you have before you on the top line is a 4-year planned rotation if we were to pay cash for our vehicles like we've been doing now, and we would recommend that we go new as opposed to some of these old ones that we've been getting. And the bottom is if we were to do leases. You can see that we can pay cash for one vehicle or we could lease and get multiple vehicles for roughly the same cost. These are 4-year unlimited mile leases. At the end of the lease, we have the opportunity to spend $1 and purchase the vehicle so that we own it ourselves. So basically over the course of 4 years, the sticker price of the vehicle will be divided. We then can buy it and then we can start to rotate and begin to get a much more efficient and the correct number of vehicles that we need in our fleet. We already have some highlighted for to get rid of, sorry. We also have some already that are old. Like, for example, the Ford Ranger is a 2004. And so we have some vehicles that are quite old that it's time for them to go. We also don't have enough vehicles. We have many city staff using their personal vehicles. That certainly opens up some risk for us that we would like to get rid of. And so you can see one of the first things we do is we would get a car that would be at City Hall that would allow us to be able to go to various meetings, whether it's the mayor, whether it's the planning department, whether it's the building department, whether it's our clerks. They have the ability to take that vehicle and attend those meetings. The rec department does not have a vehicle. Annie and Ron are using their personal vehicles constantly. Then we have the maintenance department. We need more vehicles. So I'm going to quit talking at that point because I told you I'd do this quick, but there's many options available with this. We can get the flatbeds that we need. We can get the service trucks that we need. We can get them outfitted with the lights. We are proposing that we go the leasing route. I've asked Chris and Shelley, and as long as the lease has the non-appropriation clause, thank you. I keep wanting to say amortization, the non-appropriation clause in there, the lease can be good. Basically, we're not encumbering another budget year with that with that clause in the lease, so we could walk away from the lease at any time and we're not encumbered by that lease should we not budget for it in the next year. So we are proposing that we go with the lease option and that we start to get those vehicles rolled into our fleet ASAP. So that's what we're asking for tonight.
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
And Councilman Hershey.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it makes perfect sense to go with the lease thread. In fact, it's like getting 5 years for 4. Plain and simple, and with the $1 purchase. And I'm all for this. I say approve it.
73.
I just did the math real
Ryan?
quick.
Is it 73.5?
73.5 is the first year, which says
Simple math.
multiple leases, or you can buy outright one vehicle for 65. So yes, that is correct. If you pull that through on a 4-year process versus purchasing, which is what we have prices up here, and of course, those are pre-tariff prices. Those have not hit some of the increases that we're going to see on our vehicles. There's basically $100,000 difference at the end of 4 years in the cost of the program buying versus leasing.
Free year.
So you're saying we'd lease 3 vehicles for 73.5?
We would, I
Yeah.
think there's 4 vehicles in there. There actually is
I count 10
6
vehicles.
vehicles.
No, it's more than that. 6, 8, 9, 10.
Sorry, 3 vehicles. Yes, we would get 3 vehicles on the first year in the lease.
I
Yes.
was wondering where everybody was getting those
Yes.
numbers because it looked like 3 to me.
Yes, sorry, 3.
Sorry.
Oh, 3.
Yeah, if we're looking at the 73.5 for 3 vehicles annually, right?
Correct.
I would, for 4 years,
That's correct. For 4
simply
years.
make a motion that we move forward because we've talked about this. We've all known that this was a challenge. In my opinion, we're behind schedule in getting this approved anyway.
Yeah.
So
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
before we get to a motion, I'd like to dig a little more in here.
Okay.
So in the first year,
Hmm.
you're actually looking at 9 vehicle leases.
First year's just 3.
So I see City Hall, I see Building Department 2, and Maintenance Department 6. That's 9.
Yeah, come up here, Bob.
Bob and
When I worked with the Ford rep on this, I told him I wanted a total of 10 vehicles with on top of the vehicles that we have, so we can start rotating those through. We just get a better vehicle, better product when we do so. 3 vehicles the first year, 3 the second year, and we'll begin that rotating out like the 2004, is it? Yeah. Ford Ranger, so we can get that out, followed by the 2011 Chevy half-ton, and just start rotating that.
So,
like what we
so
do with
3 in, 3 out.
Yes.
On a 1-year basis? I'm sorry, I'm looking at your spreadsheet and your numbers don't show 3 in 1 year, 3 in another year.
Yeah, 3 in 2025, 3 in 2026. during 2027 and so forth.
So do those not compound the lease? So are we paying the lease for 4 years up front? Is that what we're doing? So
So those numbers have to increase year over year.
how come the numbers,
These first 4 years are.
73 goes to 146.
Right.
Because it wouldn't, this would double if we picked up 2 more
Right.
vehicles.
Well, so
so we're doing 73.5 this year, 144 next year, 210, then yet in the year after that, 280 the year after that. That's how that needs to work out there. So, okay.
so your number at the end is actually well over 958.
Well, that's on the purchase option above.
Well, I know, but your lease option is going to be significantly more than that.
Part about that we also have, as we start rotating those out, and especially on the newer vehicles, we'll have a higher trade-in or not trade-in, but resale value out of those as well.
Yeah. Look, I think the idea has a lot of merit, but these numbers aren't right. So I don't think we can make a motion tonight.
So we need to fix that for the next meeting. Ryan, I agree. Bob, we just got to spell it out so it's clear exactly what that cost is going to be every year for the next 4 years on that.
And let's do a line item for each vehicle. Let's not combine them into anything. And then make sure that we see exactly when, I mean, you said we have a need immediately for the rec department, but we don't show anything in here for 2029 or until 2029 for the rec department.
And part of that was, be able to rotate some of the vehicles that we already have into rec. And like I said, I apologize for this. It shows
That's
that,
all right.
it shows that, building and maintenance is on the heavy end of that, but it's also the rec that needs it.
And so we've recently purchased, approved purchases for 2 or 3 vehicles. It'd be nice, Mayor Chadwick, if we could see kind of overall what our assets are and what the plan is.
Okay.
And take that out to 2036, put some numbers to it, and then we can really get a comprehensive view of what that looks like.
We can do that.
And so,
Talk on the mic though.
yeah,
I got
so
yelled at by Dana.
I
sorry.
appreciate, and you're right, 100%. Apologies on the numbers. We've been trying to throw these together so that we had something for tonight. May I, if I could, make a suggestion though that we do move forward with getting the 1 city hall vehicle through the lease option. That number is correct. So that number would be, we could purchase it outright for 65, or we could lease it at 17.5 a year for a 4-year lease with a $1 buyout at the end. That would get us that vehicle that we desperately need.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
I move that we approve the purchase of the city hall vehicle on the lease program and direct staff to create a comprehensive plan for financing and budgeting and but yeah, just a plan for rotating and how we're going to,
Yeah, for each
vehicles over.
an inventory of vehicles and a rotation schedule. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Solomon. Nielsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're gonna move on to the last item on the agenda, which is the resolution. Sean? Ryan? Yell at Sean. I need Sean on this resolution. Sean did? Oh, okay. So we're gonna, then I'll talk to this resolution. Basically, we have to put an agreement in place for adopting a joint powers agreement with Ada County for street naming and address numbering. And application review from the city of Star to Ada County. We have an agreement that's expired already. This is just to update that agreement to allow that to continue because they do all this for us at the time of application. So I need you guys to authorize me to sign this or approve this resolution so I can sign this agreement so we get it to Ada County.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
move to approve the resolution 2025-02 joint powers agreement for street naming and address numbering and application transmittal review from the city of Star to Ada County.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Hershey. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey,
Aye.
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. It is 10:23. We're at the end of our agenda and we are adjourned.